Hey, you guys, it's Negative Indicted TV here. We're almost at 100K. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also remember I go live on Wednesdays evenings. I drop an episode every Sunday, 11 o'clock. Make sure you guys comment. If you guys have any suggestions, any questions, whatever it might be, drop a comment. Let's get into this episode.
Hey, check this out. If you want to get into Navy Fed and get 20,000 in 95 days, comment the word credit. All right, come here. I already bombed this right here. Fix your credit. If you're Latino, you need to wake up. Fix your credit.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Indicted TV. I'm your host, Negra. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Before we start, you already know I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, Royalty Honey, keep your heart, guys. Also for the best jewelry, for his glory, and for some Barrio Grown Fire, Lupe Sanchez and Lincoln Heights. For some dope streetwear, Shockaware. And on today's episode, we have Gabriel, aka Fools Get Clean 2 on TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you only have a TikTok?
TikTok, IG.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fools Get Clean 2
And
on
I-
IG and TikTok.
And I have YouTube.
Oh, okay. YouTube
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my YouTube isn't really popping too much right now, though.
I mean, we
Yeah.
have little by little by little.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Gabriel, tell us where you're from, where you grew up, your mom, dad. How was the inside of your house growing up?
So I grew up with my grandparents, my mom and my dad. They had a house in Westminster, but it's like one street away from Santa Ana, California.
Okay.
Right, so I grew up in Orange County my whole life, and when I was younger, my family was broken towards, I want to say, like 9 or 10 years old. My mom and dad split up. My dad sent us to Texas because he bought a house out there, and I was getting in trouble a lot so I could make it back, right? So it worked, so.
You were doing it on purpose.
Yeah, so I was able to come back, and then so they had a divorce when my mom was out there for whatever things they were going through. So my mom went to stay with her mom in Santana. My dad went to stay with his mom in Westminster, and I stayed with my dad for a few years. Then my dad met a lady and moved in with her, so I was pretty much left with my grandparents to raise me, right? And that kind of like harbored some resentments towards my dad, you know what I mean? Because I kind of felt abandoned.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So I started looking for love in all the wrong places, you know what I mean?
For what years were these? Just so we could get
I
a
wanna
vision of the years.
I want to say like 89, 90 was
okay.
when my dad left around 90, so I'm 47 now, so I was around 12.
Okay.
So I want to say like 12, 13, I started hanging around the neighborhood.
Got
you know what
it.
I mean? And started
Yes.
smoking weed and drinking, and one thing led to another, and I got into harder drugs, and so my family was pretty chaotic, you know what I mean, and broken, but
Were your parents born here?
my mom's from Ciudad Juarez in Chihuahua. My dad was born in Watts and moved to East LA and then moved to Orange County when he was in his upper teens.
Got it. So
Yeah.
he's born and raised in LA.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and they met in Santana at a Stater Brothers or something. I guess my dad helped my grandma carry the groceries and met my mom, and they fell in
wow.
love. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 3 sisters. I have my oldest sister Teresa, the sister right above me in age, Elizabeth, and my little sister Cynthia. She's not so little anymore. She's 45, but
Yeah.
she's still my little sister.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, how was going to school for you, like elementary and junior high?
So elementary was cool. So like I said, I was one street away from Santana, so all my friends lived in Santana, right? So when we would go play ding dong ditch or go mess around or go hang out or play football on the street or kickball or whatever or handball, would be in Santana, right? So that's where I started gravitating towards. And I started playing Pop Warner football when I was young. All of us kids that grew up together played Pop Warner football, and those are probably the best years of my life. You know what I mean?
Playing outside.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? Because I want to say I was in prison in 2019, I think it was. And no, 2009. And I was busted with like 6 people that were on my football team. They were like skinheads, Samoan Crips,
Oh my
homies.
God.
Yeah, like I want to say half of that football
Everybody
team
was like a different.
Yeah, half that team became from like some kind of active gang.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was the area, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
It was the area. But you never got, did you get in trouble as a juvenile?
Yeah, for sure.
You went to juvenile hall?
Yeah, I want to say like around. So my dad used to send me with my older sisters, right?
Okay.
When they would go on dates or go with guys, right? Because they wanted me to keep an eye on them, right? So that's how I got attracted to like the cholo lifestyle and
Oh,
like
because your sister liked the cholo vibes.
yeah. So they like the homies, the bald heads, the crease pants,
Yeah.
the white shirts, the
G'd
white
up.
yeah, G'd up. So I used to like admire them, right, and want to be like them, right? So my friends, brothers and sisters were like that too. You know what I mean? So like that's what I gravitated towards. And as time got older, I mean, as I got older and time went on, like all of us started dressing like that. We started shaving our heads. You know what I mean? Started wearing the 501s, the white Reebok Classics, or the white Nikes, the white shirts. And I remember the first time I got busted was for curfew. I was 12, gonna be 13. And we were doing beer runs that night. And I remember like they couldn't catch us doing a beer run, but they got us for being out like at 3:00 in the morning. So they took me to juvenile hall and they had me there overnight. My dad had to pick me up. And then,
Were you inside a tank or?
No, I just went to the holding cell in
Oh,
juvenile
okay,
hall.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and they literally called my dad, and my dad was working graveyard, so he had to pick me up in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that was my younger, I want to say. But when I was 15, I got busted for a hot one.
Oh, so you were already at 15. You were already part of your neighborhood.
From 13 to 15, it was like really active because this is like early 90s in Santa Ana,
Yes.
in Santana, right? So it's like gangbangings at the whole high. Bristol was cracking. You know what I mean? Like it was real active. I remember like having to go to school. I would have to go because So let me backtrack a little bit. So when I was 13, I got kicked out of my house for not following the rules from my grandparents, right? So I went to my neighborhood and started staying with my homeboy, right? So I went to continuation school, and I used to have to ride my bike from my neighborhood to my continuation school. And I used to live on Harbor and Hazard in Santa Ana, and then I had to pass New Hope and Hazard, and my enemies live right there. My school was on Euclid and Hazard. Right, so they would be waiting for me sometimes behind cars.
Oh, they already knew you were coming.
Yeah, and they would be blasting at me, so I would have to like get behind the car and blast back. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
and this is at 14, 15.
Yeah, this is at 14 years old, and I remember like having to go to school because they used to want us. It was called Horizon Continuation School, right? So I would go get a McDonald's fry box, put my little 32 in there, and then put it in one of those green transformers on the back of the parking lot, and then go get wanded and come back and do it again. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was active back then. Like, and I remember like every day someone was getting shot or shot at. You know what I mean? Especially, I want to say like from like 90 to like 95 was probably the most active out there, and that was like my teenage years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said at 15 you got busted for a hot one.
Yeah. So
Tell me about how that went, or like what was it?
So
I should say, tell us.
yeah. So being in the neighborhood, right? Stuff happens. You know what I mean? And I had took out the streetlights earlier that day, right? So I had gunpowder in my hands, right? And so we're partying with some girls, and then some homies took off and did some stuff, right? And then one of the homies that did that stuff was our ride home. So he was taking us back home.
No.
And then there was a cop that was behind us, looked like an undercover cop. My homeboy threw a beer, not thinking it was a cop, and the lights turned on, the helicopter was on, there was cars on both sides. So we pulled into a Wiener Schnitzel, and my homeboy says, I'm gonna go. I'm like, all right. So he takes off, right? I remember we were going full speed at a house, right? And he jumped out of the front seat. So I remember like hitting the windshield with my head and being hunched over the front seat
I want to look at to see if you have a.
yeah, and I was right behind him, right? And then so I heard like the dogs and I heard the helicopters and the cops saying, "Get out the fucking!" But it was an old sheriff's car, right? Where it was like the child locks, so you couldn't open the door from the inside. So I told him the doors are locked, and he said, "Get out to the front, put your hands up, I'm gonna shoot you." Oh, sorry, can I cuss?
You're okay.
Yeah. I went through the front, and they said, "Interlace your hands behind your head. Step back to the bark of the dog." So I'm stepping back, and I could feel that dog's breath on my ass. Right? And he said, "Step back," and I said, "No, he's gonna bite me." They said, "Step the fuck back." I said, "No, he's gonna bite me," and they tackled me. They like hit me.
Did the dog bite you?
No, they just roughed me up. They put the cuffs on. They put me in the back of the car, and then they caught the fool that jumped out of the car, and they had a couple other homies in the car, right? So like I literally didn't do it, right? So there was a couple guys in that car, right? And two of the guys that didn't get shot, they had in the back of the cop car like identifying the people who did it, right? So
oh my goodness,
they did everyone else, right? And they got the driver, and the other two were no's, right? And I said, "Well, I'm gonna be a no." So I'm up there, and they said, "Yeah." I said, "What the fuck?" I said, "No way, it's not me." You know what I mean? And then so they ended up putting bags on my hands, taking me to the Santa Ana police station, and they did the gunpowder residue test, and they had gunpowder, right? And I remember being cuffed up to a interrogation room, and them hitting me in the back of the head and like
You're
the shoulder
kidding.
blades.
You're like 15 years
yeah,
old.
in the back of the head, in the back of the neck, in the kidneys, and my kneecaps, saying what? And I said, I didn't do it. I didn't know what else to tell them, right? And they're like, one of them said, "Why do you have gunpowder in your hands?" And it clicked, right? I said, "I shut the streetlights out." You know what I mean? They said, "All right, we're gonna check, motherfucker." And I said, "All right, check." So they checked, and then the gun that I shot, it was in the back, it was in the trunk, right? So they had my fingerprints on the gun. I was only missing 2 bullets because I shot out two street lights with a bullet each. Right? So my story panned out.
They chill. You had a good aim.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. So they ended up because I was only juvenile busted, mind you that. Everyone else was an adult, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was out like in the first 3 weeks, right? And I was still in juvenile hall.
How long were you in juvenile hall for?
I was there like 2 months.
While all of this was happening.
Yeah, so I remember going to court the first time, and they said attempted murder. And this was around Thanksgiving. I want to say like 94, I think it was. Yeah, and I remember 94 or 93, I think it was. But I remember being there with a couple homies that I knew, and like just from the streets or whatever, right? They're like, "Damn, fool, you're gonna be getting out when the cars fly," and I was like it didn't really dawn on me, right? Because like they were saying like I think it was like 19 to life or something, and I was like, "What the hell?" So so I was there like. I went to court one time when I was there, right? And then I remember it was like 2 months in, and then they called me, roll it up. I'm like, what? I was in Unit Z. I didn't make it out past Unit Z. That's intake, right? And then I was like, and the paperwork said, release to parents pending investigation, right? So I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't think nothing of it. I was just glad to be out, right? But then it ends up that one of the adults that got busted on that ended up snitching on whoever really did it. You know what I mean? So he worked with the DA on whatever he did, right? So
And he said that you were good.
Well, he didn't say no. He said who really did it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was, and plus my story added up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You had your own story.
Yeah, and the thing is that we all look the same: bald-headed,
Yeah.
short Mexican dude wearing white
T-shirts.
T-shirt. Yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Blue Levi's and white shoes. You know, so. Yeah, but they're really trying to get me to confess something I didn't do, and like I remember that to this day. Like the cops hitting me in the back of the head and the neck and the like anywhere they could, like my shoulder blades, my kneecaps.
Anyway, that was gonna really hurt.
Yeah, without
bastards.
without giving big marks. You know what I mean?
Bastards.
Yeah.
How was it for you though? Like obviously, you know, it's your first time going in and you being there for a while. Like 2 months is a long time, especially if it's like your first time. Like it really is a long time.
Well, honestly, like it wasn't bad in a sense because like gangbanging in juvenile hall is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was active and I was like messing with the guys in there and banging on enemies and
So you got in fights while you were there.
yeah, and like punking fools out. You know what I mean? What's up, fool? You know what I mean? And, Yeah.
That face expression doesn't even match you anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't, but
I saw it in you right now.
Yeah, but it is, that's how it was back then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't until I was alone in my cell, like I was thinking, like, dude, like if I get even 19 years seemed like a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you probably, I mean, you would have been home by now, but still, like, no, that wasn't right. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't you, and you had to fight, and you had to you had to tell them what it was like. You did completely different. Like
Yeah.
you weren't even there.
Yeah.
But it worked out. Thank God,
Yeah,
right? Thank
yeah,
God.
yeah.
So when you went home, what had, like, you went back to your grandma's?
So no, so my dad wanted me to stay with him because like I was out of control. You know what I mean? So he's like, come stay with me and my wife, and like I already held resentments towards him for bouncing the first time, right? So like I wasn't gonna stop hanging around the neighborhood because those are people who took me in when you abandoned me.
When you left me, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I kept running the streets, and I want to say like a year later I get busted for another hot one. Yeah, and then this one was all bad, and it was a guy that went to junior high with us, so he called it in and identified me and the driver, you know what I mean, and without saying any names, me and my homeboy got busted, right, and there was pretty much no getting away from it because like they had a witness, you know what I mean, and he was saying that we did this and that, and some of it was true, some of it wasn't, you know what I mean.
But obviously they don't care about what was. They only care about what was.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they were flying him to Hawaii, or his family was flying him to Hawaii and coming back for all the court dates or for any kind of like thing for it to do with the case, you know what I mean.
Wow.
So there was no way anyone can get at him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. And
because before it was kind of easier to get at people.
Yeah, for sure. And he lived probably like maybe like 3 major streets from my neighborhood. You know what I mean? And like I knew him since junior high or whatever. Anyway, so so I remember going to court the first time, and they said this case is going to be 707.
Which is what?
To be fit to be tried as an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was what I was about to ask you, like, because you were already like 16, about to be 17 or so.
Yeah, I was 16.
And that's when they were charging all the youngsters as adults.
Well, see, back then, even when I got busted when I was 15, right? I think that they wanted to see where the case was going to go, but they had mentioned that my lawyer said you're probably going to be 707.
Okay.
Right? Because the law, I think it was in 94, came out, the middle of 94, that anyone 14 and a half and up could be tried as an adult. I think this African American kid got tried as an adult, the youngest kid ever to get tried as an adult, right? And so I remember going to 707, and they said, "Yeah, you're gonna bound you over to Superior Court for this." You know what I mean?
How did you feel?
And that's when it became real. Honestly, like I was kind of hoping to go see my homies on the county bus. You know what I mean? And like going to like the county jail court, you know what I mean? I was like, dude, like this is cool.
Like I'm making it.
Yeah, you know, and
we're so
yeah, and that's just being young and naive.
Yeah,
you know. And I remember going to my first court after that, and like I because they're saying a bunch of numbers and shooting at him in dwelling spot, street terrorism, assault the firearm, attempted murder, and I was like, how much time does this carry? And he's like, if you get found guilty, 44 to life. And I remember like my heart just sank, right? And then I'm thinking that I'm gonna get out of it like my last time. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man. And then going to, and I was in Unit C, right? Unit C was everyone that was like a high profile case or like 707, right? You're being tried as an adult, right? So everyone was either going to YA, the county, or the prison from that part of juvenile hall, right? So what it is, you go to Unit C, and then after you get sentenced, then you go to Unit I, and then you move to Unit A before you get sent to YA, prison, or county, right? So I remember I was there with a homie from Highland Street, Santana. He was probably like 15 years old. He was busted for a hot one. And I remember, because they rotated like cart between neighborhoods that got along, right? Like they knew about the intel, like who got along, so they had split free time, right? So like us in Highland, we didn't have problems, so they used to like have us go to day room together, right? And like most of the time the enemies would try to split them up as the best they could, right? So there's no fights. And I remember I was on cart, and he came back from court, little homie, he was probably like barely 15. I remember he came back and he was just looking on the ground. I'm like, what's up, fool? You want some extra snacks? He was like, nah. I'm like, why not? He's like, I got broke off today. I was like, no way. And I was like, how much they give you? And they said 27 to life or something like that. And I was like, no way. Like, that's when it became real, right? And he was like stuck in a cell for like 2 days before he got,
Pobrecito.
and they didn't want to come out before he got transferred. But he ended up beating on appeal and he got out like 5 years later. Like he went to the Bay and everything, right? But that goes to show, I mean, in the 90s, like the prosecutors, they didn't care if you were guilty or not. They just wanted like chalk lines, like they wanted to get like tallies up. You know what I mean? Like they wanted the best found guilty rate, and they got it. You know what I mean? Like so many people pleaded guilty to stuff just because of them scaring you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what they do is, and if you take it to the box, they'll have these bogus ass gang professionals come in and testify to stuff that doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they paint a picture to the jury and to the judge that you're some kind of evil person when you're just a kid that's in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, lost. You know, and like they say, I think the human brain doesn't stop growing until you're 25 or something like that. We're like literally 14, 15, 16 years old.
Babies.
You know what I mean? That are
honestly 14-year-olds babies.
Yeah.
Now that we're older, like, well, at least for myself, that's why I feel like even like a young 20-year-old, like, bro,
Yeah.
eres un bebé, you're a baby still,
Yeah.
you know. And I say that respectfully to the young, or the younger kids, but
yeah.
no, like you're still not developed. Like, so then, back in the days, the DA, was sentencing all those children
Yeah.
to life for 25, 30 years to life. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck are you really thinking?
It was just luck. And back then, like, that's when prisons were booming, right? That's when they started creating, like, Pelican Bay and, like, all those newer prisons that were, like, maximum security, right? But it caught up with them in the end. That's why they're letting everyone out now. You know what I mean? And they're overcrowded. I remember my first term, not to go too far ahead, but I went to New Corcoran SADF, right? And I went to level 3, and then my first committee, I was borderline points, so they dropped me to level 2. And I remember they put me in the gym, and the gyms were so packed with triple bunks.
Oh, those
you know
are
what
the
I mean?
worst.
Yeah, it was like overpopulated for sure. You know what I mean? And the riots were real, and like it was even crazy for the guards to contain everyone. You know what I mean? But that's why when the feds got involved and they started shutting them down, you know what I mean? Like that was a good thing.
Yeah,
you know,
because they know what they do.
Yeah, well, we're a dollar bill to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they get paid. I think like back then it was like 90,000 or 100,000 a year per inmate.
Oh yeah, those fools were killing the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so back to you. What happened? How long did you fight this case, and what did you get sentenced to at 17 years old for this hot one?
So my dad put in money to get me a lawyer, right?
Oh,
like an
thank
actual
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my crimey, his family had money, so he got a lawyer. So our lawyers used to work together, and they had me as the one that did the work, and they had my crimey as a driver, right? And we weren't even in the same car. You know, but it's basically like his fabricated story. That's why I said some of the stuff was true, some of it wasn't. And my crimey had an alibi, right? So he had action at beating it, right? But it was a joint case, right? So like I talk with my crimey, like, hey, fool, like I got to take this plea bargain, right? So they offered me 2 years, 2 strikes.
Oh,
right. And the year in juvenile hall didn't count, and 2 years in the county jail, right? And it just seemed like a sweet deal to me.
Yeah, but those 2 strikes, you weren't thinking about that.
I didn't even think about that. I just wanted to get out, and I brought some paperwork to like show you my 2 strikes when I got them, right? And it was just me thinking 44 years to 2 years. You know what I mean? Because I did probably like a total like almost like 27 months or something like that from the time I did juvenile hall, and then the 18 months, 20 days in the county. You know what I mean? And so he didn't want to take it because he had a girl and a kid. You know what I mean? And I said, come on, fool. Like I grew up with this guy since we were young, and he was like, all right, I'll take it. You know what I mean? So we took it, and he got out, and he never got. Like he didn't come back around the neighborhood.
Oh,
like
good
he
for
he just
him.
lived the family life, and he's doing really well now. You know what I mean? But I went the opposite direction. So, anyways, I did the 2 years in the county, and there like it was different than juvenile hall for sure.
Yeah,
right?
tell us how it was for you walking in. Obviously, you're leaving juvenile hall, like where
Yeah.
you're fighting with everybody.
Yeah.
Tell me how your transition was.
So I still had the mentality that I wanted to fight everyone, right? So like they had me as their little torpedo. You know what I mean? Like raising my hand to do stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And this fool needs to get boo-bopped. All right, what's up? You know what I mean? And so I remember the second week I was there, we were in a 68-man tank, and we had a riot with the African Americans, right? And that was my first riot I was ever in, and it was like grown men. You know what I mean? But it was active, you know what I mean? And honestly, like I fell in love with it at that time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because of just like the camaraderie and like being in war with your troops against their troops. You know what I mean? That's how it felt, you know. And we came out on top, and so it didn't do me any service to have that mindset, right? But that's where my mind was at. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to not be anybody, but I wanted to participate and to be known as somebody that was down for the cause, you know? So I want to say like my second year in there, or like maybe 12 months in, there was a guy that needed to get boo-bopped, right? And they had asked me, and he was my neighbor. I was at Lacey, and I was like in a dorm or something. And they said, hey, this guy needs to get booped up. I'm like, all right, I got you. Me and this other guy from Golden West Street, I forgot his name. But they were like, hey, be in the back of the wall. I'm like, all right. And it was my neighbor. It was some older dude, little stocky dude, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he was cool as hell. He's always give me coffee and honey buns, you know what I mean? And I was like, what's up? And I was like, why does this give me? Yeah, I guess there's a little wall you can't jump. It's something stupid, right?
And he was jumping it.
Yeah, it's just a stupid regla, you know what I mean? That people like to nitpick on if they didn't like you, right? So I remember he was like, "It's you, motherfucker," and I said, "Yeah," and he just started rushing me, right? And I remember, yeah, and I remember like just trying to hit him on top of the head, and he grabbed my waist, and I'm just hitting him on top of the head, and he tries to lift me up, and he lifts me up, and like one foot on the ground, the other foot was in his hand, and I remember like he just threw me up, and I remember looking at the roof, and then grabbing the bunk next to me, and I landed on my shoulder and broke my shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah, and I remember I tried to get up and I tried to move my arm and it was just limp. And he was so freaked out because my shoulder, he just stopped, right?
He thought he broke you.
Yeah, well, he did. yeah. And I remember the other guy didn't even jump in. I'm like, what the hell?
Scary ass fool.
Yeah, what's up, fool? You know what I mean? So I remember going and saying I slipped in the shower and like I felt like a victim. You know what I mean? But like I don't know what a victim feels like, right? But like
you felt it then.
Yeah, because like I'm the one who got hurt in all this. You know what I mean? And I said I slipped in the shower, so they took me to Anaheim Western Med or something like that. So I go over there and they say that they can do a surgery, but it's like 70% that it won't work and 30% that it will work. So I just said, well, what if I just leave it? They're like, you're not going to be able to do push-ups or lift weights. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man. And so like I'm thinking like, because they got to drill a screw in and then get your muscle over your bone and see if the muscles get back together or something like that, right? And like they say that maybe a year in it could snap back off. And I said, no, I'm cool, right? So I remember I went to LMOD in the county, right? Orange County Jail, right? LMOD is where all the crazies go, like the J-Cats. But there's one section for orthopedic, right? It's from the waist up, like medical broken arms, bones, ribs, shoulders, whatever, right?
Whatever you're broken on.
Yeah, and I was there, and it was like, I don't know where I was at. People are screaming. People are putting feces on the window. Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, where the hell am I at? So I remember like after I was able to like, because I rehab myself, right? In the cell, I do push-ups against the wall, you know what I mean? And
like little by little.
Yeah, get a little mobility in my shoulder. And then I was able to do push-ups and I was good. And then I remember after that, we went to H West in Lacey and we got into a riot with the Gavas, the Caucasians. And then I ended up going to J Mod at Lacey. That was back when there was only two mods, I and J. Right, this is like 96, 97. And I did like my last year right there. And it was cool because it was cell living and just me and my cellie. You know what I mean?
A little smoother.
Yeah. And so right there, the only way you can get out of your cell was for GD class. And there was an older homie there from a neighborhood that was next to mine that I grew up with. That said, hey, fool, come to school. We'll kick it for like 3 hours a day. I'm like, all right. So I went. And I remember Mr. Tanaka was my teacher there. And he was like, you know what? As long as you guys work for 2 hours, you guys can hang out for the last hour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we would like do like the math or whatever, the reading, the pre-test and stuff. And I remember right before I split, he was like, "I think you're ready for the test," and I was like, "No way, dude!" Like, because I hated school growing up. You know what I mean? Like I went to regular high school for like a month, and then I got kicked out. Then I went to continuation schools. And I remember I went to this continuation school called Lake, right? And I remember the principal called me in my second year and was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm in school." He was like, "You literally been here 2 years and you have like 10 credits." They're like, you come to school, but you don't do anything. And I was like, "Yeah, this is where the drugs and girls are at." You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would come for.
Hey, what kind of drugs did you use?
Back then, it was mostly Scante.
Okay, so you're on meth.
Yeah, meth, alcohol, weed, coke, rock when I can get it. You know what I mean?
I used to smoke the P-Dillies.
Yeah, P
Primos?
Dizzles. Yeah, for sure. So, so I took my GED test, and then I got released like a week later, so I didn't know my results. Right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, and then I want to say like when I was staying with my dad, like a week later, they came and I passed my GED.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, that was.
So
cool.
you got your GED.
Yeah, I got my GED from the county jail.
So what happens? You get out?
So I get out and I forgot to mention this, right? So I want to say like maybe 15, 16 when I'm out there running around, like I'm the youngest one from my neighborhood, right? They used to call me Little Man, right? So like I was hung around the older guys that were 19, 20, 21, right? And those guys were already doing heroin, right? And some were smoking, some were slamming, right? And there was a neighborhood that we kicked it with that would do heroin, right? So I started.
Because they're the older ones, huh?
Yeah, and I started smoking it with them, but like I wouldn't get strung out. Like I would just smoke it with them when I hung out with them, right? But when I was in the county, some of those guys were busted and they were hitting through visit, right? This is at Lacey when they used to get contact visits, right? So I would do calditos in there, you know what I mean, and get loaded, and I liked it. Because before I did it, I felt sick. You know what I mean? I just did it just to fit in. You know what I mean? But like now I started enjoying the high.
Yeah, as you got a little older.
Yeah. So I remember getting out, going to the neighborhood, and it's crazy, right? Because a lot of my homies, like, when they found out I was doing carga, like, they were trying to, like, check me, right?
They were mad.
Yeah, like, "Hey, fool, we're gonna give you calentada if you find out you're doing that shit." You know what I mean? And I said, "You guys smoke rock and do scante. What's the difference?" You know what I mean? Like, a drug's a drug, right? And I get out and everyone's doing carga now. You know what I mean? I'm like, "No, que no, cabrones." You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like all that shit you guys were talking, right? So, anyways, I get out, go to the neighborhood.
Wait, before we move forward,
Yeah.
what would you say was the craziest thing you experienced in those 3 years?
Being busted?
Because it was your first time doing 3 years.
Yeah, I want to say just the riots. I wasn't like blacks, paisas, whites, and that calentada. Like all like the major physical things like that happened, right? Because and then the cops messing with you. Like I remember, like I heard about elevator action, right? Where they'll take in the elevator and they'll rough you up. You know what I mean?
No, did that happen to you?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember we were going to the roof, right? And one of the homies was passing by and was asking me, "Hey, fool, have you heard from so and so?" And I was like, "Nah, shut the fuck up." And then one of the homies said, "Fuck you," and they thought it was me. And then, "What'd you say?" I said, "I didn't say nothing." "What'd you say?" I said, "I didn't say shit." Like, I wasn't trying to punk out, right? I said, "Come here, motherfucker." So they took me, they brought me in the elevator, and they just left it right there on that same floor and just, like, put hands on me.
Wow.
Yeah, like, they don't care. Like, they hit you in the face. Like, they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, and then I just remember, like, my ribs are all messed up, and they took me back to the yard and upstairs.
Like,
and,
como si nada.
Yeah, like nothing, yeah. And I remember, like, and honestly, like, PTSD from that stuff. You know what I mean? Because of the juvenile hall thing with the cop that was, you know what I mean? And not to say that I feared them, but like my heart rate would get elevated around authority figures like that.
Of
You know what I mean?
course.
Even like after getting out and being clean for a while, like I still don't like being pulled over by cops or talking to
Well,
cops.
no, it's like nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Like, even though we know we are good, like, I know I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know you're good.
Yeah.
But we're so traumatized
Yeah.
by the things that we put ourselves through, obviously, the choices we made, but like their behavior, just because we look this way.
Yeah.
You know, that it's like, oh shit. But then I'm like, no, man, they're not looking for people. They're not even looking for bald heads anymore.
Yeah,
They're looking
sure.
for the
eggers. That's crazy, yeah. What the hell's an egger? No disrespect to eggers.
Guys,
Yeah.
no respect to the youngsters, right?
Yeah.
But man, yeah, it's different. Okay, so you get out. Your 3 years. You said you got your GED 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
And then what happens to Gabriel?
So I go back to the neighborhood and I get strung out. And
On heroin.
yeah, on heroin, and my PO says I got to go to a treatment center, and there was an indigent treatment center in Garden Grove, and I remember getting into there. It was called Unidos, and that was my first time actually like really trying to like stop using, right? So, long story short, my mom gets me in there, and I meet a girl. Well, there's a girl from high school that ends up going to like the outpatient, like the groups we have to go to. Mm-hmm. And she finds out that I'm there, and she's coming to visit me, and we're doing like the sober dating thing together.
God, it's the worst, right?
Yeah. And then so I do good for about 4 months. And my dad sees me doing good, and he's like, my dad used to work at the Orange County Register in the press room for like 30 years as a manager, right? So he got me a job with him. And I didn't want to do that, but that's what he wanted me to do. You know what I mean? And I was trying to appease my dad, so he got me a job with him. It was decent money. I think I was making like $19 an hour back then.
And that's good back then.
Yeah, back then. And full benefits, medical, 401k. I got through a credit union through them and got me my first car. And I remember I'm not really a jealous dude, right? But like I don't forget nothing. Right, and my girl had told me that she was gonna do something, right? And then the next day I asked her, and it was a different story. So I'm like, something doesn't add up, right? So I remember on a Friday I called in from work, right? Because I used to work weekends, and she just wanted to go out. I said, yeah, go ahead, you know. And then so I post up in front of her pad, and
Sick ass stalker.
yeah, I know, right? And honestly, like subconsciously,
You were like 21 by now.
yeah. Subconsciously, I think. No, I was 19, I think I was.
Oh, yeah, because you were 17. Yes.
19. So
Still super young.
Yeah, so subconsciously, like, I think that I was looking for an excuse to get high, right? And then...
Now that we know.
Yeah, and then so, like, a car pulls up, and it was a Cadillac, and then I see my girl. My girl has a twin. My girl had a twin. She went out there, and she's hugging this fool, and she kisses this fool, so I pull up, and I get off the car, and I'm gonna crack this fool. He takes off, and I said, what the fuck? And she was like, I said, fuck you. This, like, I'm not messing you no more, whatever.
Wait,
right?
was her or was it the twin?
It was her. Yeah. But her and her twin and one of their friends were gonna go out with her and this other guy's like little crew, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like in my mind, I'm thinking like this little, you know what I mean? Because I'm over here like working on weekends, saving up for our place. You know what I mean? Like I got a car for us, you know, and this and that, and so I felt disrespected.
Of
you know what I mean?
course.
So I went straight to the neighborhood and said, what's up, fool? Let's go pick up. And he was like, nah, fool, you're doing good. I said, nah, fuck you, let's go pick up. And they said, all right. So we started getting loaded, ran amok. My PO wanted me to get in treatment again, and I lasted like 2 days, and I got strung out, and I had to go, right? So I remember I tried to go turn myself in. My dad took me, right, in my car, and I hooped like a quarter ounce of Yesca, some carga, some fraus,
All kinds.
a rig. Like I was going strapped, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah,
Jeez.
I'm gonna be good when I'm in there, you know what I mean? And I remember going there, and they're like, Gabriel, I got a warrant. Turn myself in. They ran my name. They said, you don't got a warrant? I said, yeah, I do. Like I haven't seen my PO like in 4 months. Like I know I got a warrant. He told me I had a warrant. And then they were like, no, you don't. And I was like, yeah, I do. And they said, if you want to come in here, just hit me. You know what I mean? I said, no, I'm cool. So I remember.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, so I split, right? And then I got in my car and I went and I did whatever I had in me, right? And then we went to some homies' pad and we're going to a party. And I remember a car pulls up behind us, and I had some carga in my center council. And we get pulled over, and I'm thinking nothing of it, right? Because I just went literally the day before, right? And they said, you're being pulled over for a $100,000 bench warrant. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, yeah, you're being pulled over for $100,000 bench warrant.
I just trying to turn myself in.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? So anyways, they pulled me over because part of that plea bargain was, right, that 2 years, 2 strikes, and if I violate my gang term probation, I could either get 3, 6, or 9 years, up to the judge's discretion, depending on the violation.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
dang.
I didn't even think about that when I signed it, right? So when I get busted, right, it's $100,000 bench. What are you talking about? Like I already did time for that. They're like, no. So anyways, I go to county jail and I go see my public
So
defender.
now you're empty.
Yeah, yeah. So I go to my public defender and they're like, what did he say? He said, you already know what you're looking at, right? And I said, no. And they said, well, 3 is the least amount of time you can get. I'm like, what the hell? In prison? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so the judge gives me grace, right? Because the only reason why I violated my probation was I didn't go P test for him, right?
'Cause you were dirty.
Yeah, because I was dirty, right? And so they ended up giving me the low term, which is 3 years. So that was my first term. So I have a P number, P39931, and I got it in 1999, the beginning of 99. And my first term, I went to SADF, like I told you.
How was that experience for you? As far as like just getting there, it's your first time in prison.
Well, I remember like before catching the chain, like everyone's trying to give you glitch and stuff, you know what I mean, and tell you what to do, what not to do. And plus, I was a drug addict, you know what I mean? So, like, they're like, yeah, if we don't want to use in there. And I was one of those kids that didn't like to be told what I can't do. Like, how you gonna tell me what I can't do, fool? Like, you're my dad, you know what I mean? Like, so I remember getting there and going to Wasco and, like, because you can get more canteen, you know what I mean? And like, this is where you're introduced to different ranflas, right? From like different cities or different areas in California, you know what I mean? And it was a trip because I remember one guy had said this, like, I'm Sureño, my gang is bigger. You know what I mean? Because like, when you're at the county level or juvenile gang level, like it's my neighborhood
Against yours.
Yeah, but like now it's all of us collective.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like strength is in numbers. You know what I mean? So I just felt like that pride and that sense of belonging. You know what I mean? So like when stuff needed to get done, I wouldn't raise my hand, but if I was asked, I would do it. You know what I mean? And so I remember going to SADF and being nervous because it was scary, and then being on that lockdown with the guy wasn't being told like on site. I said, what does that mean? And they said like if you got a piece, like you got to hit him, try to get a piece out or get a blade or try to shed blood. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm never going home.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And remember, I got those 2 strikes, right?
Because those count already,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, those are off the top. That's why they give them to you, right? Because they say like, if you're really gonna do good, then you're not gonna get another strike. You know what I mean? And so, when I went to classification, they dropped me to level 2, and I remember that's when the bulldogs were on the yard, right? And we had to remove them from that yard. And I'm not gonna lie, like there were some really cool ones, right? That I used to talk to that were
Well,
my
I mean, they're
neighbors.
people. We're humans, we vibe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we just live in different areas.
Yeah, and I remember like we had to remove them, and like I had to get off on some cool motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And it is what it is, but like when you're in it, you know what I mean? And like after you finish what you're doing, like you feel that sense of accomplishment and belonging. You know what I mean? And that's what I was looking for at a young age too, from being from my neighborhood, right? So it's just like magnified by tenfold. You know what I mean? Being in a place like that, and I was there for I want to say like 2 years because I was in the county for like 8 months.
And they count it.
Yeah, they counted that. Yeah. But it's 80% because of the 2 strikes. 85% because of the 2 strikes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that was my first term.
What was the craziest thing you experienced that term?
You know what it was? It was we were gonna get off with African Americans, and there was 4 fierros in the gym. Remember I told you when we went to the gym?
Mm-hmm. With the 3.
Yeah, and then so I had the bottom bunk, and then we had the trash cans with the paper trash cans, and we had one in a cuff, right? And one of our neighbors owed money to like 5 different people, right? And so he wanted to get away and lock it up. So he dropped a kite saying that me and my bunkie were gonna move on him because his bunkie was from the Valle also, and he was from the Valle too. And then so I got busted for that fiddle and I went to the hole. Yeah. But I beat it because it wasn't in my possession. It wasn't a common area.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean? But I was still back there for like 6 months.
And that was your first time.
First time going to AdSig, yeah.
How was that?
It was different. You know what I mean? Like the gallo, the rutina, you know what I mean? The waking up and being up all day until the bar locks open, till they close, you know what I mean? But
Like, you gotta be up.
yeah, but it set me up for structure and like how to be productive in the day. You know what I mean? Like I was never a big reader, right? So I had to entertain my mind with something else, right? So like I was more of a hands-on arts and crafts guy. So I used to like make leña out of fish or make cars to fish, you know what I mean? Or make ramps to like throw stuff over the tier or
What did you say you used to make? What was the last word?
the ramps.
What are those? Like, what is that?
So depending on how big the bottom of the door is, right? Like say if you're on the top tier, there's like a little curb. So if you just throw it straight, it's just gonna keep hitting the curb, right? So the ramp will propel it over the tier. You know what I mean? So like it's just like in Tehachapi, right? There's holes in the doors, right? Or there's like a big rat hole on the side. So we used to make slingshots. So with the boxers, we used to like braid it, right? And then we'll make it like a slingshot with the sheet, right? So you would make a arrow out of like paper, and then you would shoot it down the tier because it's sides, right? So it's 4B, and then you walk in, and then there's a top tier, bottom tier left side, top tier, bottom tier right side, right? So depending on where you're at, like if you're on that side, the rat hole's coming this way. If you're on this side, it's coming that way, right? So you guys can fish to each other. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, no, but
Yeah.
but the guys get it.
Yeah.
The guys that have been there get it, but it's like super interesting to like be able to learn how to do those kind of things.
Or like transporters too, right? Like transporters are like magazines, right? So like I said, depending on your cell, like there's some ad segs or some shoes that the bottom is big enough where you could like fish a sopa or like a Snickers, right?
And what you just like.
So,
Well, like that?
what you do is you get the line, right? So line is consisted of the inside of the boxers, right? You take that apart.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and there's like the rubber band stuff, right? That's what you use for the slingshot. You separate that. But then there's hilo, right? There's string.
Yeah.
So what you do is like you either tie it to a part of your cell, and then you get like a cup or a soap or something, and you twist it. Keep twisting in the same direction for like as long as it gets tight enough to where it doesn't twist anymore. Right, then you get it and you put it to that side and you let it like wrap around each other, right? And then you go like that and you straighten it out, right? And that can cut plastic, yeah, because it becomes so strong, yeah. And so I used to make line and I used to make the cars, right? Like in Cork and Shoe Program, I used to make the cars with paper, oatmeal, and syrup, right? So I used to get the empty milk cartons and then wash them out. They'll be dry, and then I'll get the oatmeal and to get like a shirt, then strain out all like the goo, right, into the milk carton, then get a syrup pack, put it in, and then mix it up, and it becomes like a cement almost.
Oh,
yeah.
dang!
And then I get a piece of paper, then I'll put the glue on there, then put another piece of paper, put the glue on there, another piece of paper, then I'll fold it to the angle that I want it. Sometimes you make it as an arrow or like a little square. You know what I mean?
And these are cards.
Yeah. So what you do is you make sure that it dries, right? And then it turns to like cardboard, but heavier, right? So that right there, you can just fling it at an angle and it'll fly by itself. You don't need a ramp. Yeah.
Wow.
And same thing with the transporters, right? So it makes it like a bundle pretty much. You know?
Dang, you're just like just going out everywhere.
Yeah, and,
Wow.
and it kills time when you fish.
Obviously.
You know what I mean? Because like, and then you have to learn how to slip knot stuff to pass it. You know what I mean? Like slip knot the transporter to the line, or slip knot your paperwork, or like cosmetics or sopas or something. You know?
Whatever's able to. Yeah.
Yeah, and a slip knot's basically just like a knot that'll just tie onto something, right? So it's just like a hoop. You put something in, and then you pull it, and then so whenever you tug both ways, it'll make it tighter. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, huh? The
Yeah.
things that.
Yeah, it's ingenuity, man, and even like watching somebody, like I had a study that made fierros, right? And he showed me how to make fierros and a cut fierro and to make plastic fierros out of like CD cases and stuff. You know what I mean? And how to make a candle out of baby oil and a mop head and a soda can, and how to make a lighter out of a pencil, pill container, and paper clips. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff, you know? And
Wow.
it's crazy. Yeah, the stuff you can learn to do in there. You know?
I'm all, wow.
Yeah.
No, because it's like, it's just crazy the way the things that we just learn to do.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's people that do it prior to us, and
It's taught.
and
Yeah.
it's taught. Like
Yeah.
even like for myself, like when I used to fish when I was at MDC and the Federal Building, like it was so crazy. Like I never knew like opening the batteries was a needle, like a big, not a needle, but like una uña, like a nail.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we would save our batteries and open them up and braid them into like a line, so to hook
Okay.
when we fish. It was like a trip. It was a trip,
Yeah.
and it's just like you're saying, like you
Yeah.
learn how to do all of these things, and this is how you survived in there.
Yeah.
You know, like it's how you survived.
Yeah.
And this is what you learned on your first term.
So the first term, no. So anyways, the first term was just going to the shoe and like learning how to fish and to make line. And then I ended up getting out of the shoe. Get out of the hole, and then I went back to the main line, and I paroled maybe like 3 months after that.
Okay.
Then I got out, and it was like, I did a total of like 15 years on and off in prison, right? So I did those first 3 years, stayed out for about 4 months, went to a program, because I was homeless. I didn't have a place to go, right? So I would have to go to like a program or a sober living.
Yes.
Right? And then I would do good for like 2 months, but then I would get a wild hair on my butt after I got a job or got a car, and then I'll go run amok. And then
That's what we do.
Yeah, run around for 2 more months. So the longest I stayed out for like 4 months in between, right? Then I'll get busted again for another possession, 16 months times 2 with the prison prior, right? And I did that like 3 times, and then this last time I got 16 months doubled up with the prison prior, and then inside there I got busted for a knife, and then I got 5 years on top of that. You know what I mean? So I want to say like the last incarceration was probably like the craziest time I've ever done.
Share with us.
So I started off in a lower level, right? In level 2, I was in Avenal.
Because you were a user.
Yeah. So like after the first initial time going to prison, everything else was possessions. Possession of controlled substance. It was heroin, or I remember I got a possession one time for a dirty syringe that was clogged, right? And there wasn't even no like drugs. They tested the coagulated blood in the
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they tested it 3 times, and it was positive for.
And you got 16 months.
Yeah, I got 16 months doubled up for that. Yeah. Another time it was just a cooker with just a cotton. You know what I mean?
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy. And
Wow, so you got another 16 months for just having the cotton.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a beaten cotton because like I wasn't saving anything. You know what I mean? But it was just enough for residue for them to test. You know
Yes,
what I mean? If they can
yes.
test it 3 times, then it's a possession.
Really?
Yeah. So I ended up going to Avenal to level 2. I went to 5 yard, and I was there for, I want to say like 2 months. We had a riot with the Northerners. And then over there's so many level 2 yards. I think it's 6 level 2 yards that they'll send you to the hole, and they'll send you back to another yard. And then if you mess up, they send you to the hole, then send you to another yard until your points are elevated enough for them to transfer you out. Right? So I got into a riot with the Northerners, a riot with the Bulldogs, and then another riot with the Northerners. And then by then my points were high enough to go to level 3. So then, oh no, I'm lying. So, the last yard I was at with the Northerners, there was a Northerner there from the first riot, right? And I kicked one of their homeboys' heads, right?
Ooh.
And he's seen, like, we locked eyes, right? So he's on that same yard with me, and we're in the same block, right? So I wanted a strap. So I had a strap with me at all times, right? It was a bone crusher, right? And then I remember going to chow, and then coming out from the chow hall, we get pulled over, and like there's like 15 cops out there. Like someone dropped a dime. I'm thinking, right, for them to be waiting for me that deep. You know what I mean? So I got busted for that fierro, and then they sent me to Kings County for court. I'm in the hole right there. They offer me 5 years, and I said anything under 10 I'm taking, because remember I got the 2 strikes.
Yes.
Right, so I'm worried about being struck out. So give me 5 years, but it's consecutive, right? So after these 3 years that I'm doing, I got to do the 5 years.
So you had to do 8 years.
Yeah. So I ended up going to Tehachapi shoe program for, I think I got like an 18-month shoe for that. Went to Tehachapi shoe program, made it there for like a year. I was in 4B for about 8 months, and right there was group yard. You know what I mean?
What does that mean?
So like there's cage yard and there's group yard, right? Group yard is like there's right and left sections, right? So when you come out to the pod, there's a left corridor and a right corridor, right? And then there's like a little group yard where people are out there and they could touch or work out together or play handball together, right? And
basically be with each other.
yeah. And then the dog kennels, that's like single cages. You know
Yeah,
what I
like
mean?
you're just by yourself.
Yeah, with you and your celly or by yourself. Yeah, so I was right there, and even right there, people were getting slid up or moved on. You know what I mean? Like anytime there's action for people to touch each other, there's always going to be drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something's always going to come up. Someone's going to get dealt with or something. You know what I mean? Something catches up with you from somewhere, you know? And so I went there, and then from there, I went to Ironwood. I'm in Ironwood for about, I want to say, a year. And mind you this, right? So, like, I use drugs on the streets, right? And I use drugs in prison.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, were you using?
I get strung out in prison. Like, I don't
Even
care.
worse.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, and I'm a crafty drug addict, right? Where I'm not gonna mess with any hot money, right? Like, if money's going to a big homie, like, I'm not messing with it, but I can't pay it. You know what I mean? But if it's like a freelancer or somebody just trying to hustle and stuff, like, I'll catch a fade. You know what I mean? Like, I'll call them out, like, come on, I sell them, get paid. You know what I mean? Because honestly, it's a win-win for me. You know what I mean? Because I get free dope, and either I get mines and you get yours, but
You're still getting high.
yeah, I'm still getting high.
And that's all you care about.
Yeah, and that's it, right? And that's a reckless way of thinking, right?
But when addicts are crazy.
Yeah, you know, and that's when I knew, like, I was a real addict, you know what I mean? And I had a real problem. But and honestly, like, a lot of choices that I made in prison, like, a higher power was looking out for me. You know what I mean? Because, like, I probably owed at one time maybe like $900 on a yard with no way to pay for it. You know what I mean? But you know what's crazy, right? Like, I don't get all politicky, right? Like, I don't try to be anybody. I'm not trying to run for anything. I'm not trying to be anybody, right? But, like, I've always been cool with the people who have the yard or the block or the ala, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they take a liking to me, right? Because even like now, I came by myself, right? Because I do everything by myself. You know what I mean? Because I know I got me. Like, no one's a liability to me. You know what I mean? And I know I can handle mines, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yes.
You know? And so, like, even in prison, right? Like, it reminds me of American Me, where Edward James Olmos' little brother goes, my brother walks the main yard alone, isn't? You know what I mean? And I used to literally walk the yard by myself. Like, I would do laps by myself, go work out by myself, go play basketball with some of the homies, but I didn't like kicking back in crowds. You know what I mean? And people used to.
Do you think it's because you were a user?
I think it was because, like, that was my coping mechanism, right?
Got it.
Because if I'm not. Because I see a lot of people get moved on for hanging around the wrong people, right? Like if you're hanging around with this crew, right, and this crew comes back and gets in charge, the whole crew's getting taken out. It's not that one person; it's anyone that's a liability because of this person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
I understand what you're saying.
I'll stop by and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Say what's up.
Like, you're cool with everybody, but you're not chilling with everybody.
Yeah,
I understand.
I give my salutes to everyone, but and people trusted me with valuable information. Right, like, hey, we're gonna move on this foot right here, just be trucha, and you know what I mean? All right, don't trip. And they knew I wouldn't say nothing. You know what I mean? Or, hey, fool, can you move this over here? Yeah.
You're always reading.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I was a porter pretty much my whole soleta, like, every time. You know what I mean? So So like I always had action to move stuff, whether it's dope, fierros, phones,
Whatever the case.
You know what I mean? And like I broke off for doing that, you know, because like I'll literally
That was your hustle.
Yeah, exactly. That and making pisto, right?
Ah.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
I would like have phones. Like I used to make the extra pocket on the boxers in the front. Would be like a fierro, a phone, maybe like a couple grams or whatever. Go on the hood office. Hey, can I get some bags or get some cleaner? You know what I mean? Because like in my mind, if you show no fear, like
That's right. I agree.
They have no reason to fuck with you. But if you start asking suspicious and like looking around,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna fuck with you, right? So I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, think you get this from me? All right, yeah, cool, man. Boom. You know what I mean? And hey, can I go here real quick? All right, boom. Look around, give it to him really quick. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I did everything like nonchalant. So what was I getting at?
That everybody trusted you, and you was by yourself.
Yeah. So a lot of times, right? There were some people who had the yard that used to ask me because they know I was a porter, like, who has dope? You know what I mean? And I was like, well, this person does. Hey, go get this, and I got you. All right, you know what I mean? And I'll get it, you know. And the reason why is like I would always get stuff, so I would either PayPal with Peter, right? Like people always give me scante, and I didn't mess with it when I was locked up, right? Like I only did black or pisto, right? So I would have like 3 grams of white, you know what I mean?
And that's how you would pay back your 900.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So whatever, right? But then, so they knew like I would always come up with something, so they didn't mind giving me stuff.
Got it.
You know
got
what I
it,
mean?
got it.
So, but there's a couple times where I got into big debts, right? And then the homie who had the yard was like, "Look, fool, like this guy got to get moved on. You down?" And I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he said, "Don't trip back out of your debts, and I'll give you something to go for the road." You know what I mean? And I said, "All right, cool." And so I had to move on somebody in Ironwood. And I remember it was like last minute. We went to yard, and he was like, "Hey, fool, you think you can move on this fool?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Who is it?" He said, "That fool with the basketball card." I was like, "That dude's kind of big." You know what I mean? I
You're
said,
all smoked out?
Yeah, and I was like, who's that fool? Who's that fool? Who's going with me? And it was a big old youngster, and I was like, man, but he's young. You know what I mean? And I was like, man. So he gave
So
me.
sad, huh?
Yeah, he gave me the wheel out, gave me some stuff for me to take, and right there on the yard, I squatted down, put it up there, and then I'm like, all right. So it was by the basketball court, so I was acting like I was playing basketball, and hey, he turned around, cracked him, whatever, and he thought we were blasting him, right? Because he stopped and looked at his body, right? And then I think once he seen that we weren't blasting him, that he just like submitted, right? Because we're like we fractured his eye socket, his nose, busted his cheek. You know what I mean? And it's crazy, right? Because we were in the same hall, right? And like he would go to showers because we're next to the showers. Like he literally went up like, "Hey, don't trip. Like no hard feelings." Like
Because he accepted it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I feel that's the best way to be. Like
Yeah.
he probably knew within himself that whatever he did, he had it
something
coming,
yeah.
and he accepted it. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the way everybody should be, even out here. Like not that we have something coming, like oh no,
Yeah.
but I just mean in general, be accountable.
Yeah.
Be accountable for what you do, and you
Yeah.
won't end up in situations that we put ourselves through. Even out here in life, this goes for just in general.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be accountable for everything that
Yeah.
you do.
And like everything that we do, there's either a positive consequence or a negative consequence.
Amen
You know
to
what I
that,
mean?
yes.
And so when you do
Especially in
something,
there, everything's fucking bad.
Yeah, and when you do that, right, you have to be cognizant of the like the good and the bad, how it weighs out. You know what I mean? Is it worth the risk or the worth the reward? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like, and I just want to like do a disclaimer, right? I'm not trying to brag or boast or
Mm-hmm.
like pump this lifestyle up, right? It's just like a story and like
This
stuff
is
that I went
something
through.
you went through.
Yeah.
Like, this is your experience.
Yeah.
This is your story.
Yeah.
So that we know what you went through to be where you are at now.
Yeah. Yeah. So from there, I ended up going to the hole in Ironwood, and then I did my whole shoe. I think I did like a 14-month shoe or 16-month shoe right there. They kicked me out to B Yard, pending transfer to Kern Valley, and then I ended up going to Kern Valley. I think they sent me to C Yard, but they started flipping that yard, right? So they started like getting the actives out and sending them to A Yard, and then I think they started putting in the PCs as the last active guys were sent to different yards, right? So I went to A yard over there, and I was on the lower yard, and I was there for like maybe 6 or 7 months. And I had some pretty cool cellies, though. I had that celly that showed me how to make fierros. I had a celly that showed me how to make white lightning. That was my other hustle, right? And then the other celly, the guy who had the block wanted this guy to move in because he was doing things, right? And I said, yeah, I don't trip, you know what I mean? And like I said, I got along with other people who had the blocks, the alas, the yards, you know what I mean? So I didn't trip. So he brought him in, and then he would have actually had a cuerno a lot, right? So he'd always be on the phone. But like I was a porter, so I'd always be out running her muck, you know what I mean? Then I'll come back in, and he want me to give the phone back, so I'll whatever. So one day I was on the yard, and I was playing basketball with the homies, and then so it's
You're still a user.
yeah. I'm using heroin every chance I get. You know what I mean? So like, and I know when shit hits, right? Because hey, can you pass this over here? What's that? What you got? You know what I mean? Let me get let a bum get a crumb. You know what I mean? Or let me get 3 for $100, or let me get a half a G, or like I'm always trying to work an angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what we do.
And so like I found out that a lot of connects like to drink, right? That's why I got in the White Lightning game. You know what I mean? Because I would just make regular Pruno before, right? But White Lightning goes for like $50 a coffee cup. You know what I mean?
And they're like the big cups.
No, so the little coffee cups, that's White Lightning, right? But like the big jugs, that's the regular pistol.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a longer process to make it, because you got to make the pruno, you got to strain it, and then you got to like burn it with the stinger, and like all the steam will come up, and you hit it to the empty side of the bag, and whatever comes out of it, like that's the pistol. Like, and there's times where my celly would like light it on fire, like it was like real whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, and it tastes like whiskey. You know what I mean?
Shit, did you drink?
Yeah. I did anything to feel different in there.
I guess that
like
makes sense.
For lowers, you know what I mean? I remember one time I discounted in there, never again.
Why?
Just it's not the place to do it. Nah.
Because you can't do anything.
It's just like anything that I want to do on the street, like I can't do in there. And I'm just tripping on the huras coming, or like thinking that people are out to get me, you know what I mean? Like thinking the worst, because you're stuck in a little box, you know what I mean? Start thinking like, why is this fool looking at me?
Like, no, yeah, fool's tripping.
Yeah. I've seen like so many fools lock it up over just being tweaked out and having nothing on their jacket, you know what I mean? Just their mind wigging out, and they just lock it up.
And that's the sad thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the sad thing. Like drugs, bro. Like, you're okay, Dick, but
Yeah.
you screw yourself up.
Yeah, all being all scanted out, you know what I mean? But, I mean, it's, like I said, like the consequences could be good or bad for your actions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, he moves in, and I go play basketball with the homies, and then in Kern Valley, like, people are getting stuck, like, pretty much every yard. Right.
Every day.
Every day. Like every time there's yard, like, but over there, like they'll shut program down for like the day or two, and they'll resume it, right? As long as it's not racial. But like if it's in the faction, then they'll like resume it the same day sometimes.
Oh dang.
Yeah, because they know it's just business, right? But when it's racial, like they'll keep us slammed down for a minute till they figure it out, right? And so I'm playing basketball, and African American comes up to me, right? At half court, and he's like, "Hey, where's my money at?" Like, what are you talking about? He was like, I don't even know you. And he was like, yeah, your celly owes me money. I said, that's my celly, that's not me. And he was like, well, I want my money. I said, you better tell him, or I'm gonna tell your peoples. I said, that's on you, man. So I get back to the cell after yard, and I tell him, hey, like, you owe the blacks? And he was like, yeah, man, but he's not willing to wait, and my girl left me, and I guess he had a girl that was bringing him stuff, you know what I mean, and he was just being a marrano, and he didn't like give her any money. Like, if you're making that much money or getting that much dope, like, you got to look out for the people that are looking out for you. That's just common sense, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, gimme, and she's like, there's nothing for this in me, like I can't even be with you, you know what I mean? Why am I gonna risk my life, and my time for you? And if there was money coming in, it'd be different, you know what I mean? But he was just
should be more than happy to bring it in.
Yeah, it's just all him, though, right? So he was a youngster, though. He was a tall dude, and he was like, man, like I said, I was a porter, right? And I had action at getting. People always wanted to give me scante, and I was like, I don't want it, you know what I mean? But like they
Girl, that's not what I do.
Yeah. Like I was like, give me black, right?
Yeah.
So I had like 2 grams of that stuff, right? And I had it for like a couple days, and And I thought, I'll help this fool out. You know what I mean? So I gave him a gram. I said, and he papered it up. He can probably make at least like 8 papers out of each gram, right? That's $50 a paper. Even if you get half of it, that's enough for your $200 debt, you know? And he never comes out of the cell. I mean, he'll come out for yard and just kick back with his boys, and that's it. But then one day it was at night, and I went into my cell to get my shower stuff, and the curtains are up, and it smells like lotion in there. I'm like, oh no, like that fool's sconted out, like doing, you know what I mean, like rubbing one out.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And it's like, dude, so like automatically knew that he was using that, you know what I mean. So like. The next day, he didn't. He's one of those guys that gets counted out and just don't talk. Like he just draws. You know what I mean? So
He's just in his head.
Yeah, so he was just drawing, and I just left it alone, right? So on the upper yard, I guess like a week or two later, the African Americans moved on the homies because a homie owed a black on the upper yard, right? So they slammed it down, whatever. And then so like the next movement was a medical movement, and they put us and the blacks together in a holding cell in medical. The homies got out the cuffs and blasted some of them.
Wow.
And so
So much.
yeah, so
God, it's a horrible environment, huh?
yeah, so basically it was they moved on us, moved on them, so we're even, right? That's the way it is,
Okay.
right? So it's on them what they want to do next, right? So it's they want peace, okay, peace then, right? So like stand down, don't move on them, all right, cool. Because before it was on site, right? And then so we get word from the homie that anyone who owes the blacks got to be removed from the yard. You know what I mean? And sell, right? So
Because they're causing problems.
yeah, because like it could be an issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole thing is that you don't want to shut down program because you mess up the flow of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially causing disturbances between factions in there, you know, it's not a good thing for anyone. So sure enough, my celly goes to medical, and they give me the kind like, hey man, need you to do us a favor. I'm like, oh man. I said, I got a date. They're like, don't trip, you know, we worked it out. So I'm like, all right. So I want to say he comes back from medical, and like I have to get caught, right? So
Wait, how close are you to going home?
like 6 years. Yeah, like 6 years of the house, yeah. And I remember it was around chow time, and they're unlocking the doors, and then we just go at it. You know what I mean? And the cop threw a can of OC spray. That's like the aerosol grenades of pepper spray. He didn't get down. Opened up a can on us. Didn't get down. Another OC grenade, another OC. So it was 2 cans and 2 full canisters, right? And like I couldn't breathe, right? But I wasn't gonna stop until he stopped, right? So
oh my goodness.
yeah, they ended up. He ended up proning out first, and I proned out. They cuffed us up. They put us in the showers. They seen he was leaking a little bit. You know what I mean? So they took him to the infirmary, and they took me to the hall. And I remember just being on fire, right? And so in some of my content, right, like I put, I don't miss, right? Like I don't miss being pepper sprayed and having to bird back with milk to like feel better. You know what I
To
mean?
soothe your skin.
Yeah, because like if you bird back with the water with pepper, like you just reactivate it. You know what I mean? So like there's some times where homies know what's up and they shoot you other milks, you know what I mean? So you could bird bath so you could at least get some
Calmness.
some calmness for a little bit. Yeah.
Wow.
So I ended up going to the attic right there, and I caught a two-year shoe term for battery on an inmate with the weapon. And I ended up going to Corcoran shoe program for A1 right. And
How old were you at this time?
I want to say this was 2010. Yeah, 2010. Yeah, because the hunger strike was 2011, I think.
So you experienced that as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was there during the hunger strike.
We're getting to that.
Yeah. So I went to Corcoran shoe program, and I was single cell because I moved on my celly in AdSeg. But see, that's one thing, right? So
Kind of better?
So it is, but it isn't, right? It is for a person like me, right? Because I don't really fuck with people anyways. Like, I would have cellies, and I literally wouldn't say words to them. Like, because if we didn't mesh, like, I didn't want to, like, have any room for us to get into it, right? So let me backtrack a little bit, right? So the first time I went to Avenal was the second time I went to prison, right? And I had 4 riots in 3 months, right? So I was considered a program failure. So they sent me to Cork and Shoe program for a 12-month shoe, but I already had like 6 months in AdSeg, right? So I was literally only 3 months in the shoe. So they sent me there and they set me up with this crazy dude. He was like a homie, but he was from Guatemala, and he was like literally crazy. Like he thought that people were out to get him. I guess he had blasted his homie in Salinas Valley, and he thought that he was gonna get checked for that, right? So he moved on somebody else in the oil in Salinas Valley. So he's thinking that I'm the one that's supposed to move on him, right? So each night, like I wake up to him just staring at me. I'm like, what's up? I'm thinking this fool's like maybe a little fruity, right? So I'm like what?
The way you say it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was just funny.
Yeah, and
You're still wicked.
yeah, like what's up, you know? And so so he was just way out, right? So like we had no conversation, right? So I noticed the least amount of time I talked with him, there was less chance for us to get a conversation, confrontation, right? Because one time we got into it, right? And then so they would have one of us stay back because they'll give us a fierro to hold, right? So it was my turn to stay back. So the homie was Malongo was a neighbor, and he was like, "Hey, little man, check this out. Like, we can move your cells, fool." And I thought he was trying to see if I was weak or not, right? Like I thought, because my first time going to the shoe, right? I'm thinking like I'm not a punk. You know, fool's not gonna punk me, right? And he goes, "Look, I'm just letting you know, like if you guys get him up, like you guys are both getting blasted. Just bottom line."
Because you shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah, there's no hands policy. You know what I mean? And he goes, "There's your opportunity to move. Like, you know, he's a handful." And
they already knew.
Yeah, because he's gotten into it with cops. You know what I mean? Like talking shit and fucking like boarding up. You know what I mean? And they knew he was unstable, right? And they knew that I didn't have that much time. And then I said, "No, like I'm not a punk. Like I'm gonna kick it." You know what I mean? And so like that was the longest 3 years of my life.
Well, you stood with his. He was your bunkie for 3 years?
No, though this is my first time in Cork and Shoe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was my cellie for 3 months. Yeah. So, anyways, after that, so that was my first time going to Cork and Shoe. So the second time I go to Cork and Shoe, I'm single cell, right?
Yeah, después. Yes.
So from AdSeg on, I'm single cell. But every time you go to committee, you gotta request to be double celled, right? It's just policy. Right, just like when you go to the shoe, you have to say that you're able to go to integrated yard and you could be sold up with anyone, right? Because if you're able to do it, then you got to get off. You know what I mean? But they want to see that you're actually attempting, right? Because like I learned this from people who told me about that, right? Because the first time I went to the shoe, my cellie asked me like, "Hey, did you tell him that you could go to integrated yard?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Are you sure? If not, it's cool, but just let us know so we can let the homie know you didn't know." And I said, "No, I did," because everything comes in your 128G transcript from committee, right? Inmate requested to be on integrated yard, but due to his past with other factions and riots, it deemed it not safe. You know what I mean? But I asked for it, right? Just like when you ask for a cellie, client, and then you got a 602, the denial. Right, to show that you're actively, even if you don't want to, you know what I mean.
You just have to.
Yeah, you just have to, you know, in hopes that
you don't.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. But
yeah, because I mean, I'm sure everybody feels that way. Right? Like we're human. Like I'm a woman, but I'm saying like I'm sure all you men are just like you got to say what you have to say, but I know in reality, like deep down in your heart, bro, like you do not want to.
Yeah.
Like I don't care what you fools say.
Yeah, but you know what? Like it can go the other way too, right? Because being by yourself in a cell too long, like it does stuff to your mental health too.
Yeah, you need to talk. You need to be around. You need
know
humans.
What I mean? And remember, I told you when we first got here, like I used to whisper. Mm-hmm. Like I literally, when I was in Cork and Shoe, I literally didn't talk to anyone for like almost 8 months. Like no, just to the cop, like saying thank you for my tray. Or like for showers, like no, because I used to deny my showers because you used to get an extra tray or extra sack lunch. And we used to use a razor, the buzzers every month to cut our hair. So I was like, I'll shave my head then. You know what I mean? But, and I was surrounded by PCs, right? So I couldn't talk to anyone on my left and my right, right? And I don't want to be yelling down the chair like, "Hey, fool," you know what I mean? Like, so when I would go to yard, the people that would be next to me would be the PC, so I couldn't talk to them anyways. You know what I mean? But like, we'll do routine and I'll sound off, you know what I mean? But like, to like have an actual conversation and like being human, you need human touch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a hug, a handshake, abrazo, you know what I mean?
Yeah, when
like,
you go outside to the yard, you shake the homie's hands, right?
Yeah, or give papas at least, you know what I mean? But yeah, so, and I remember, so I don't want to go too fast before the hunger strike, but yeah, so the hunger strike, right? Because that was a pivotal moment in my incarceration too, right? So we got where that was a hunger strike, and it was like the first one. I think we only lasted like 10 or 15 days just to like see how we would do, and then the last one.
How long did you last?
The 10, 15 days? I think it was like 10 or 11 days. I did the whole 11 days.
You didn't eat at all?
At all. Yeah.
How the fuck did you survive?
And then so the second one, right? But I learned something, right? Because one of my vecinos told me like, hey, fool, like put a bag of beans and rice and a bag of oatmeal in your mattress and sew it up. Right? And I was like, all right.
Okay, so you did eat, you just didn't get food from them.
No, so that was the second time. The first time I just thought like, I'm a gangster, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? So like I'm fucking getting dizzy and you know what I mean? Just drinking water and coffee. I drink like 4 cups of coffee because I thought it would give me energy.
That shit will be worse,
but it'll make me more dehydrated. Yeah. And I remember like going down to fish, like getting up, I'll get dizzy. You know what I mean? So the next one was a big one. I think we participated in Cork and Shoe 481, right? Was I think 25 days, right? But I lasted legit like 19 days without eating nothing. But in the 18th day, like I had to, like, and I literally got a plastic spoon, my milk carton, and I got 3 scoops of beans and rice, put it in the milk carton, and put it halfway full of water, and just let it blow up for like 2 hours. I remember I fell asleep, and I woke up and I ate that shit. You know what I mean? And I did that for the remainder of the time. You know what I mean? But I remember like
you're just there a week?
Yeah. Like you couldn't move. Like it wasn't mandatory to work out. Like people didn't walk. Like usually I'm pacing in my cell. You know what I mean? Just to like get some steps in and stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm always watching TV. And I remember it was probably like day 11 or 12. I'm watching 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen. And mind you this, I hadn't talked to anybody for like 8 or 9 months besides the cops, right? And Charlie Sheen said a zinger, right? Like a funny joke, right? And I legit thought he was talking to me. And I told him, that's a good one, Charlie. And I started laughing, right? And in my mind, like, I thought he was talking to me, right? But then something told me, like, don't lose your shit, fool. You know what I mean? Like, you're losing your mind. So I remember, like, just praying, like, God, please don't let me lose my mind. God, like, over and over again, right? Yeah, and then, so, like, they would take us out to do our vitals. Like every 2 days, you know what I mean? Like they'll take us out, they'll weigh us, you know what I mean?
You guys are all...
Yeah, I remember I lost like 26 pounds.
You're kidding.
Yeah, everyone got sucked up. Like there's people who died in Cork and Shoe because of that. You know what I mean? Yeah, because there's some diabetic homies or older homies that didn't even participate, but like
they wanted to.
They were doing it in solidarity. You know what I mean? And it was like all factions, the brothers, the norteños, you know what I mean?
So everybody did
Everyone did it, yeah.
Wow.
The Asians, yeah. Yeah, the only ones that were excluded were the ones with medical necessity. Mm-hmm. Like high blood pressure, diabetes.
Yeah, you have to, you can't, yeah.
Yeah, you know, but there's some that still were committed. You know what I mean? Like I seen that movie, Hunger Strike. So I go to Cypress College, right? And there's this a group called Rising Scholars, right? And they connect us with a gang of people that's been formerly incarcerated to show that we can make it, right? And they sent me the trailer for that, right? And I went on YouTube and watched it, and that shit brought back memories. You know
I gotta watch it.
Yeah, watch it. It's called Hunger Strike.
Can you? Is it like anywhere?
Yeah,
or like,
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me so I could watch it.
Yeah, and it brought back some of those feelings. You know what I mean? Because and you know what's crazy is that I was part of something that changed the prison system forever.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I got the 115 from it. You know what I mean? And I didn't get to see the fruits of that labor. You know what I mean? But like everyone else is like. They got action at phones, more stuff from commissary. They got action at visits.
I mean, the guys were even able to come out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
After doing like, what, 20, 15 years in the hole, they were able to come out.
That's the whole thing. The whole premise is that people were being like buried back there 20, 30 years on indeterminate shoes. You know what I mean? And like, they would just like either not take him to committee or find a reason why, a loophole for them
to keep him there,
to deny him. You know what I mean? On stupid like letters, communication,
Anything.
drawings, tattoos, like stupid stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah. So that was
19 days
19
without
days.
eating,
Yeah.
just drinking water.
Water and coffee. Water and coffee.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember the day that they finally said we could eat, right? Like, I was hungry, but it didn't even look good to me. You know what I mean?
Como asco, a lo mejor,
Yeah,
¿verdad?
I remember it was hot dog day. And, like, I only ate, like, 2 bites of the hot dog and maybe, like, 2 tater tots. You know what I mean? And my stomach was messed up, dude. And the next day, I didn't want to eat breakfast, and I ate, like, the cookie for my lunch. You know what I mean? So it probably took, like, 4 or 5 days for me to eat, like, half a meal. You know what I mean? Just eating little bites at a time. You know, and to be able to work out again probably took, like, another week. You know what I mean? Because your body starts attacking your muscle after a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, it was.
You're down, bro.
Well, I mean, everyone back there was.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, like, wow. Like, shout out to everybody that participated in, well, literally everybody, you know, that participated in, you know, they, like you say, they saw the fruits of labor. Guys were able to come out of the shoe after doing, like, 20 decades in there.
Yeah.
Not literally 20 decades, but, you know, decades in there. And they stuck together and they did what they had to do in order to see the outcome of it, and it worked.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it worked. Thank God.
Yeah.
And thank God to the guys that did that.
And you know what, too? Like, all the outside support, like, everyone that was advocating from the streets, like, that really brought attention to it, because I seen it on the news, too. Like, even up there in Corcoran and in other parts of Pelican Bay, like, there was news coverage on it. You know what I mean? Because it was an important thing, you know? And, like, everyone really stuck to their guns, and, yeah, we made it happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
So after I got out of the shoe, I ended up going to 270 at Corcoran, pending transfer to High Desert, right? So I went to the 270 at Corcoran. I was there for like 3 months. Then the bus came for me to go to High Desert. And I don't know if you know where High Desert's at, but it's literally next to Reno. It's like...
Freezing?
It's freezing. Like, it was snowing when I got there. Yeah. And,
Did you have a jacket when you got there?
No. Yeah, and the crazy thing was, right, is that, so I get there and they're on lockdown, right? They're on lockdown because the homie whacked a hura. You know what I mean? And so it was on site with the huras when I got there, right? And mind you this, I have like 16 months left to the house. You know what I mean? So it's like, damn, like, and honestly, like, I don't want to be that guy, right? But, like, I'm going to participate. You know what I mean? So, like, if there's action, then there's action.
Because you're just there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And I signed up for this. You know, but you know what? Like, there was a higher power that was looking out for me.
Through your whole
Through my whole life, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I went through things, and, like, he gave me choices, right?
You just chose wrong.
Yeah, and then, like, the bad choices were consequences, and I know that now, right? But he always gave me avenues to make a better move, right? And all this is, like, while I continue to be active, right? Never once did I ever thought that I could lock it up to make it easier on me, right? And like, some people lock it up for different reasons, right? But I just chose not to. You know what I mean? And I chose to stick it out. You know what I mean? And this is what I believed in, so this is how I lived. You know, and some people think that you gotta lock it up and debrief to be a better person or to change your life.
Amen to that, honestly.
And that's not the truth.
Yeah, that's not. And it's not that I say we're because, you know, I don't think that's correct because of everything you just said.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And there's people who did it, like, that's your choice. That's more power to you. You know what I mean? But people have the misconception that that's the way you got to go to, like, change your life. You know what I mean? And so, like, everything that I went through and
I love that you said that.
Yeah.
I love that you said that because it's not, you know, you lock it up and you come home and you just can't really be, I don't think you're okay within yourself. You could pretend. And yeah, you know, you change your ways and things like that, but I don't think you're able to be the same within yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of guilt and shame that comes with that, I would assume. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're living away for so long, and whatever circumstance made you or helped that decision to do that, right? And you got to live with that decision the rest of your life. Some people are okay with it,
And that's okay.
and they're shining. That's, like I said, more power to you, right? But my story is like I
Yes.
continue to be active the whole way through, and I just want to let people know that you could change without going that way.
Yes.
Right. And there's work in changing your lifestyle, your habits, you know, and it's possible. You know, it's just about putting in the work and doing what you got to do, you know, like and just like you put in the work to do the bad stuff, get the drugs, get the licks, come up with the money, you know what I mean? Like, if you put down half that much work into doing good, like you could do good stuff, you know?
And it's not even about, being manipulated, because people be like, oh, you allow yourself to be manipulated to be there. But and then you go to the other yard and you allow yourself to get manipulated to start thinking a different way.
Yeah.
So it's just basically the same thing. It's not the same thing, but you understand what I'm saying, right?
100%.
Like, you'll self-talk yourself to making yourself that you're manipulating yourself, making yourself feel like it's okay.
Yeah.
Just like how you manipulated yourself thinking this other way was okay.
Yeah.
And reality, both ways are fucked up.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, because you're still over here doing fucking chaos.
Yeah.
You're still over there like doing
Yeah.
whatever it is. You're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're just not okay, bro.
Yeah, for sure. And the whole reason for me even reaching out to you about coming on here
Was for the specific reason.
was to like let people know that there's another way of life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be bound to being incarcerated or bound to a substance or be stuck in addiction, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's a better way out there, you know, and it looks different for everyone, right?
Yes, yes.
And Foods Get Clean too stemmed because I was a house manager at a Medi-Cal sober living, right? One of my boys that I worked with a long time ago, he's a supervisor for.
Wait, and you started doing. Wait,
Okay.
we're not there yet.
All
We're
right,
not there
sorry.
yet.
Yeah.
No, don't be sorry.
All right.
You, okay, so you have to do this and you have 6 years left, you're saying.
So by the time I get to High Desert, I have 16 months left.
60 months left.
Yeah.
It's freezing there.
Yeah.
What happens?
So right before we go to yard, the Mac rip comes out. Right.
What is a Mac rip?
The Mac rip is like the mouthpiece for each
Okay.
raza. You know what I mean? And
Oh, the mouth rep, you're
yeah,
saying.
the Mac rip.
Mac
Yeah,
rip.
that's what's called the Mac rip, right? And sometimes it was like just like the face, right? And somebody else really had the yarda, but they're just like
They're
you know,
the
the
one of, they're the
mouthpiece.
talkers.
Yeah. And he said that it's on halt with the huras, like get out there and program, you know what I mean? And we get out there and they move on to homie and I remember at the basketball court and these 2-on-1 on these homies, right? And then I remember just looking, and it's no biggie, right? So you just try to get away from it, you know what I mean? And whenever you hear the alarm, like before you get down, you have to look to see what's going on, right? Because if it's the homies, like you got to jump, you know what I mean? If it's the blacks on blacks or white on whites,
just leave 'em.
yeah, you just prone out, you know what I mean? Just make sure you're covered, you know what I mean? Then I remember looking and seeing homies, so I was ready to prone out, and then you hear like doo, and then like I remember just like looking and just seeing like looks what brains coming out of this guy's head, you know what I mean? And you see him hit the ground, right? And then I was like, oh shit, and then so basically it was a 2-on-1, right? Two of the homies were jumping a homie, right? And then the guy that was getting jumped on cracked this dude pretty good and almost knocked him down. So the other dude kicked him in the face and then started kicking him in the head, and using boots to head is considered a lethal weapon, right? So the cop, there's no warning shots.
They're just
Yeah,
shooting.
so the cop just busted. You know what I mean? And I
Wow.
literally see this man take his last breath. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen an actual horse get put down, but I've seen it on TV, and like
The same.
yeah, you know, and it's like, dude, you know. So I remember going back to and I've seen some pretty crazy stuff in prison. Like I've seen probably like at least like 15 or 20 stabbings, like good ones, like stabbing the head and the neck and the face, like dismembered nose. You know what I mean? Like fools get airlifted. You know what I mean? But this was some real stuff. You know what I mean? And and honestly, like it kind of like shifted my thinking, right? Like, dude, like,
What the fuck?
yeah, where the fuck am I at? You know what I mean?
You're
And-
still high.
no, in high desert it's hard to get dope.
Okay, so you were kicking?
No, I was clean. So
Okay.
so when I was in the shoe, right, my homie used to send me cardigan through the mail, right, and there's hudas that bring stuff in for homies. You know what I mean? And there was a huda that was bringing stuff in, and
You're all whispering again.
yeah, I mean, you know what
I
mean?
hear you.
Yeah, and and it's a habit, and you know, so I did a few times when I was any opportunity I got to do it, I did it.
Okay.
Right, but like high deserts, anytime you're way up north, it's hard to get dope and it's really expensive, and typically it's hot money because they're so rare. You know what I mean? And I did not mess with hot money because I'm not a dummy.
Yeah,
know what
you
I mean?
go.
I'm not gonna get holes put on me for any kind of like.
Like,
shot.
it's not that serious.
Yeah, it's not like I'll make some pieces.
I'll make my own holes, but you ain't putting holes
yeah,
on me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I went back to my cell. We're on lockdown for like maybe a couple weeks, and then I would make wine in high desert. You know what I mean? I think I got loaded maybe like twice when I was there, but I want to say like a month before I was gonna pro, right?
Oh, my goodness.
They told me I had a legal visit, right? And I was like, legal visit? I don't got a lawyer. And then so they sent me to the program office, right? I'm like, what the hell? And they put you in a holding cage until you see whoever you need to see. It was ISU, right? It was the Gooners. And they're like, hey, Rodriguez. I'm like, what's up? They're like, hey, why'd you go on your celly? I said, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, well, we know that you did it. What you did it for this reason? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, you know, we already know. And I said, what are you here talking to me for then? And then he was like, well, we talked to your celly, and he said you just got in a fight. You know what I mean? Because there was nothing found. You know what I mean? And I said, well, that's what he said. That's what happened then. You know? And he was like, all right, because just know if you don't go home in 3 weeks, you know why. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Oh, no.
so those last 3 weeks were the longest 3 weeks of my life.
I could imagine.
You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking I'm going to get stressed out. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking like maybe he did say something, but he was solid. He didn't say nothing. Even in that sig, right? When I go take a shower, I go to his pod, right? And he's like, hey, little man. I'm like, what's up? He was like, it's me. Woo, woo. I'm like, oh, what's up? And he was like, yeah, don't trip, fool. I got you. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Because it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he could have got it on the yard and it would have
Yeah.
been all bad.
Yeah.
3 fools on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they told me that, and that had me stressed out, man. And I remember getting called to bounce in the morning, and there was a homie downstairs from Lopers, and he didn't have nothing coming from the streets, and he had all day. I think he had like 19 years in already, and he had like 35 to life or something. So I gave him my TV, I gave him my ropa. The only thing I took were my letters. You know what I mean? And had my little bag of letters, and I dropped everything off in front of his cell. And I said, hey, fool, if I come back, you better give shit back to me. You know what I mean? So I remember going to R&R and just like, I just wanted to get on that bus. And once I got to the bus station, I was cool, I thought. You know what I mean? So
Oh, my God. You said I thought. What does that even mean?
yeah, so like, I was thinking that I was good. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't actually know I was good until I got there.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? So they put me on the bus, get me to the train, the bus station in Reno, get my ticket. Once I'm on the Greyhound, I'm good. You know what I mean? So I ended up going to Union Transfusion Station or Union
Union Station?
Yeah, Union Station. Yeah.
Or downtown?
Yeah, my dad picked me up. I stayed with him for like 2 weeks, and then
You still didn't use.
no. So when I first got to my dad's, right, I went to the neighborhood the next day, right, and just checking with the homies, and homies are getting loaded, and I said, let me get a shot. So I did a shot, right. After I did that shot, I felt so guilty, right, that I went back home, and because I got it on a Friday, I didn't see my PO till that Tuesday. Right, so
Wait, how long does it stay in your system?
like 3 or 4 days. Like I would drink a lot of water and stuff. You know what I mean? So I did it Friday morning, or no, Friday afternoon, no, Friday evening. I got it on Thursday, and I went Friday morning to the neighborhood, and then I ended up feeling guilty and just drinking water all weekend, see my PO piss clean, and I told them that I wanted to go to sober living, and so I could work because I've been away for so long and I don't have anything, right? And so that was back when they introduced AB 109, right?
Which is?
It's county supervision, right? So like instead of coming out on parole, to limit the people on parole, they put you on AB 109, so you're county supervised now, right?
Okay.
So no parole. Like if you get violated, you don't go back to prison. Like you go to do like a county flash or something. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to be beneficial, right? I remember when I was in Cork and I saw my parole papers, and they said, like I can be off in 6 months, and like they have free sober livings, and they pay you to go to school. And I'm like, all right, I want that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I get out, and he says, nah, like you have to go to residential treatment. I'm like, why? Like I didn't give you dirty tests. And
I'm like, bro, you're a fucking smoker.
Yeah. But he seen right through me, right? And I said, he's like, you need a behavior modification. He's like, I'm looking at your jacket from prison. I have like 3 or 4 riots. I have that weapons. I have 2 assaults. I have the hunger strike, and all that stuff looks bad on paper, right? But like when you're in Rome, you got to do as a Romans. You know what I mean? So he was like, either go to residential, or I'm gonna keep hitting your pad. And so, and I was like, man, come on. And I said, just think about it. So, anyways, I went home the next day. For the next 7 days, he hit my pad every night. And I remember it was on a Friday night. I was with some girl, and then she was dropped. My curfew was 10:30, right? And I pulled up at 10 o'clock, and I went through the back door, and then I see like 7 cops in my living room, my stepmom on the couch, my niece, my nephew.
Oh,
yeah, my
that
dad.
wasn't cool.
And I was like, dude, like what the fuck, you know? My dad just like shook his head. My dad's doing me a favor letting me stay there. You know what I mean? So I went to my pill the next day, like, what do I got to do for you to stop? You know what I mean? That's my family you're fucking with, you know? And he was like, go to residential for 90 days, get out, go to sober living fucking 4 months, and
there it is.
that like will discharge you. We'll put you on mail-ins, and because 1 year, it's technically 1 year to complete AB 109. So I'm like, all right. So I went to Phoenix House, but I wasn't doing it because I wanted to. You know what I mean? I was doing it because I had to, right? So like over there, after like 45 days, you can start working, right? So I got a job working graveyard, but they didn't ask for my schedule. So I told them I work like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like all weekend, right? So I'll go to my neighborhood or to my dad's house and drink, because no one ever thought I had a drinking problem, right? They thought it was a heroin problem, right? But after I drink enough, I want to do heroin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, but I didn't use heroin the whole time I was there. I was just drinking. And I remember, like, this is when you know I have a problem with substances, right? I would drink Friday, Saturday, I have to come back Sunday, right? I would stop drinking my last beer around 12 o'clock at night. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to Planet Fitness from 4 to 6 with 3 gallons of water, down the water, and hit the treadmill for 2 hours. In case they breathalyze me, that'll be out of my system. Yeah, so I'm drinking 3 gallons of water and running on a treadmill for 2 hours. Yeah.
Just to get drunk.
Just to be able to drink. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's bad, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I ended up completing the Phoenix House, and then I met a girl there, of course. You know what I mean? Then I went to
The girls are always, honestly, I always tell the guys, not to like cut you off.
Yeah.
I always tell the guys, when you come home, don't get in a relationship with somebody you meet at the fucking halfway house, bro.
Like
that is your downfall. Respectfully.
I was told like 2 sickies will make a welly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like they say, like it's like you're looking for a new car to pick apart. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like yours are both broken.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to Clean Path Sober Living. That's a medical place that I was telling you about. And I ended up being there for like 2 months, and then she had got kicked out because she said they didn't like her, but she really relapsed. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
So I put my cape on, and I ended up getting a weekend, a hotel for a weekend for us, for a pass to make sure she was safe. And then I got some alcohol, and then like a half a bottle in, and after 3 beers, I was like, I want to do a shot. She was from Chicago, and she wanted to do a shot too.
She's never done it before.
No, she used to do. She's from Chicago. Like that was her thing, heroin too. She had worse veins than I did. Yeah. So
dang.
So we went to my neighborhood, picked up, did it all weekend, and then so that Monday I had to go back to the treatment center.
And you were doing bad.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, I can't piss for him, because they asked for you to piss when you
Yeah.
come back from a pass. So I told them that I was gonna go with my dad to help my dad, and I told my dad that I graduated early. So it all worked out. So they didn't call my PO. I went to my dad's. I had like $4,000 saved up from working and had like a 2001 Honda Accord. I thought I was doing something right. And then I ended up saying I was going to work, but I was really going to the streets to go pick up and go hustle, right? And then that money lasted like a week, 2 weeks, right? And then so I remember that look on my face when I told my dad that I was hitting the streets again. I came home, got my girl, my girl moved in with us. You know what I mean? And they're like, who the hell is this? That's my girl. Like, who the fuck
Where'd
is
you
this?
meet this girl? Yeah.
So anyways, I ended up telling my dad, he's like, why? I thought you were doing good. And I said, no, I've been using. He was like, what? So like the disappointment and the sadness in his eyes, like that's ingrained in my brain. So I ended up going back to the streets, and she was probably the best crime partner I ever had, dude, like for hustle, right? She would go into like Macy's, Nordstrom's, and go get those big ass comforters that are like $1,500, $2,000, put one in each arm and just walk out the front door, and I'll meet her in the parking lot. I'll get them and I'll return them to the same store or to a different one and get the store credit, right? Like the gift cards. And there was a kiosk at the main place in Orange County, right? That would give you 70 to 80% of the worth of it. Right, so that was our hustle right there. Yeah,
Dang.
yeah. She was gangster with it, man. Yeah,
It's always the user relationships
yeah.
that are like the most craziest hustling.
And
you never go without.
Yeah, and she's a cabachita from Chicago, so she's with.
Oh, you like the güeritas, then, huh?
I mean, they're the ones that like me. You know what I mean? But yeah. So she ended up getting busted. I want to say because she had to go to court. She got busted, and then so when she was busted for that week, I got my PO was trying to help me. You know what I mean? And he said, "Man, I'll get you a methadone detox instead of getting you locked up." I said, "All right." So I went on methadone detox for a week. She got out. I picked her up. She wanted to get high. I got high again. Right. So she had to go to treatment. So I took her to treatment on Wednesday. And then I went on Thursday, and they didn't have a bed for me till Monday. And then so I had enough for a gram of heroin. So I went to our Connect. They said, all I have is a half a gram, but I'll get you the full gram tomorrow. Give me the money for the full gram. I'll give you half a gram tonight and a full gram tomorrow. So I'm basically getting a gram and a half for a gram with the money, right? So I said, all right. So I did that. So I saved like a dime for the morning. And I remember like there was this little ditch in my neighborhood, right, that I would park next to, right? Because I felt safe. It was my neighborhood. Right, and my girl, we used to sleep right there in my car, and she would be like, "Dude, this fucking place is hot." I said, "I've been here my life. Like the hoodas don't trip on us right here." And then, sure enough, right, she's in treatment, and I remember like waking up like at 6 in the morning to go pick up by 7 because that's what time my Connect opens up, and I pull up on my edit and it gets clogged, right? So I'm trying to unclog it. Then I hear like a ting, ting, ting on my door, and it's a gun, right? It's like, freeze, motherfucker, I'm gonna blast you. I'm like, oh, shit, man. So I open the back up, I drink the heroin, and I'm like, fuck, man.
You drink it.
Yeah, I need to get it in my system somehow. I mean, it probably not gonna do nothing, but it's better than wasting it in my mind.
And your brain is like, it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, at least it got something in me. You know what I mean? So I rolled on the window, and it was my buzzer luck is that he was a Garden Grove cop.
Oh.
Going to Santa Ana because it's borderline right there, right? It's 17th and New Hope, and on one side of 17th is Garden Grove, the other side Santa Ana, right? So I guess he had a report of a stolen car that was right there, and so he just happened to pass by and see me. He said, "You just got."
That it was you, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, "You just got buzzer luck," and I'm like, "All right." So he gave me a possession for the cooker. Right, I'm like, fuck, here I go again. 32 months with 80, and two as many prison priors as they want to give me, right, in my head. And they're like, nah, what's cite and release, Prop 47. I'm like, what do you mean? They said, yeah, we're just gonna go to the station, give you citation, and let you go. I said, are you serious? Like in my mind, I'm thinking I can still pick up then. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he left my car because I was being cool with him.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, yeah, I got my edits in my backpack. You know what I mean? So I remember going to Garden Grove Station, and the hooda comes out, and he was like, hey, you didn't tell me you're on AB 109 probation. And I said, you didn't ask. You see, your PO wants to give you a 10-day flash. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I kind of need to clean up anyways. You know what I mean? So I remember going to the county jail, and like remember I told you when I would get out of prison, I had to go to a rehab or like a halfway house or a sober living
Something.
because I was always homeless, right? And a lot of the requirements for those programs is you have to go to NA or AA meetings, right? And I would go like for the girls or just to get out of the house or go smoke flowers or go bullshit just to get out of the house. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like the seed was planted, right? And so I remember going through booking to the doors and going to the holding cell, and it was just like yelling at me, right? Like
It works if you work it.
no, like nothing changes if nothing changes in contrary
That's
action,
right.
And so like I actually knew what it meant. Like if I keep doing what I'm doing, this is what I'm gonna keep getting. If I want something different, I gotta do different.
That's right.
In contrary action, do something than what you're used to, right? And it just kept ringing in my ear the whole way through the booking, and it seems like I went to booking like super quick that time, the quickest I ever did, right? So I remember going up to my cell. And my city was making pistol, and
Fuck.
there was a couple fools that were asking me, "Hey, you want carga? You want scante?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm cool." "Hey, you want subox?" "Nah, I'm cool, man." They're like, "What are you, Christian?" I said, "Nah, I just don't want them." I'm like, "What?" Like, well, I don't have to do drugs, but I'm a regular, right? And they knew that I'm a drug addict, so they're like, "This is weird. This guy doesn't want to get high."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I remember
Something was changing already.
So I remember going to court. Remember, it was supposed to be 10-day flash. I went to court on the 11th day. So I told my public defender, like, "Hey, shouldn't I be out already?" And they were like, "No, well, your PO's offering you 6 months." I'm like, "For my first violation?" And I was like, "That's kind of high, don't you think?" And he was like, "I don't know." So
With your jacket, bro, that's like pretty low.
so I got it down to 90 days with half, 45 days, right? So those 45 days, I would talk to God all day, every day, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but like, just show me the way. Like, I'll do whatever you want, right? So when you get out, right, they send you to healthcare to see if you want any services, right? Like any kind of sober living or treatment or mental health services, right? So you can sign up for it before you get like actually picked up. So I go and I sign up for 3 residential treatment programs: Woodland, Phoenix House, and Cooper Fellowship. And my dad picked me up, right? And my dad's face, like, he was disgusted in me. I seen it in him, right? And then so we go to Norm's right there on 17th of Main. And we're eating, and I gave him my dad's number for all the places, right? Because I didn't have a phone. And my dad didn't want to talk to me. And I was like, man, so his phone rings, he answers it. He said, "It's for you." I'm like, "What's up?" And he was like, "Hey, Gabriel." And I said, "Yeah." He said, if you get down to Cooper Fellowship in the next hour, you got to bed. I'm like, "All right." So my dad, like, "Let's go." So we split, we go. And we stopped at his house to get my clothes, right? Because it's like 5 minutes from my dad's house. And I remember he came. My dad's house is like my storage when I get locked up, right? My car got repoed, and he brought out a trash bag halfway full with dirty chones, dirty slingshots, a chancla, and a toothbrush without no cover, and that was all I had to my name at 36 years old. You know what I mean? And it was like, dude, like this is
how you were living.
this is all I have to my name at 36 years old. Like, there's friends of mine that are married with children, that have like houses, that have careers, you know what I mean? And this is all I have, you know? So I remember getting to the treatment center and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll take suggestions. Just tell me what to do. So I remember my counselor there was really about me getting a sponsor because it was Alcoholics Anonymous based. And I'm like, all right. So I get there and they have meetings that people from the outside can come, right? And then so it was during a break at the smoke pit, right? And my counselor comes and he was like, "Hey, you need a sponsor?" I'm like, "Okay, I've only been here 7 days. Get off my back." And he was like, "That's your sponsor." And it was big old like biker looking dude, right? Big old white boy, big old brosha, tatted up. I'm like, "I don't know that fool." And he's like, "You need a, and he's like, "You need a sponsor?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Give my number." So I got his number, called him the next day.
You already had a phone.
No, so there's payphones in that
yeah.
place. Yeah. Matter of fact, you couldn't have cell phones there, or you couldn't talk to the females in the program.
What year was this?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so my clean date is 4/10/15. That was the day I got arrested because
That's it.
Yeah, that was the last time I ever used.
When
right?
you ate it.
Yeah, and then so I ended up getting out May 20th of 2015. Yeah, and then so I went to Cooper Fellowship that day, and so I completed my 12 steps in the 90 days I was there, because I was eager to learn, because like it was making positive impacts in my life. You know what I mean?
You were seeing it.
Yeah, and like the promises come true. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to get a recovery on you guys, you know what I mean? But it worked for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, there's different ways to skin a cat. Like, not everyone has to do 12 steps to be better. You know what I mean? It just worked for me.
It works for you.
Yeah. And so remember I was like,
And it's okay to get our recovery on us.
All right.
Some of us need to hear it.
yeah. So remember I told you I went to Clean Path Sober Living, right? Well, they give you 4 months free sober living, right? So I did those 2 months and I had a relapse, right? So I had 2 months left. So when I completed Cooper Fellowship, I asked them if I can get the next 2 months. And they said, yeah, all right. So they gave me the last 2 months. And then I ended up going back to Clean Path. And I was working like, in my employment record is all over the place, right? Because I don't have like long job history because of my incarcerations, right? So someone told me like, just put the prisons and just put like for Delano, right? I put maintenance, right? Because I was a porter. You know what I mean? And I would go through agencies and get whatever jobs I can get. So 3 days here, 4 days here, whatever paid the most I was doing. And I remember there was a temp agency called Select, and there was a girl that I used to party with that was there, right? And she was like, hey, they used to call you Little Man. I was like, yeah, it's just me, Gabby. I was like, oh shit, like what's up? And she was like, all right, I got this position for you. It's $21 an hour. And I thought I was balling. I was like, hell yeah, you know? So she got me in, it was temp to permanent, and I was doing really good over there, right? And then like I was supposed to graduate on a Friday, right? And then that Monday, she calls me up and says, don't go to that work. I'm like, why? They said they terminated your contract. I was like, but I remember, right? Like I would be doing extra sweeping, mopping. And
you feel terrible.
Always just staying busy, right? But the fools that were working there permanently already are like, hey, kick back. You're making us look bad. I'm like, motherfucker, you got a job already. Like I'm trying to get paid. Like I'm trying to get like put on.
Yeah.
Like I'm just doing the agency, you know? But I think someone like said something about me or whatever. Yeah, hater, right? So I ended up losing that, right? So I was stressed out. I'm like, God.
Oh, you were pissed.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I'm doing everything like I need to. Like, what's up, you know? And then so like, there was a guy that was working at that treatment center at the sober living. From the first time I went there, right? Well, he was working for the company, and I asked him, "How'd you get a job here?" He's like, "There's another part of it. There's another commercial or insurance part of this treatment center, like where people have PPO insurance and they get treatment." Right? He's a house manager, so he doesn't have to pay rent, and he gets paid like $17 an hour that he could just stack up. I'm like, are you serious? And I was like, I need a job like that. So our house manager at the AB 109 house was a director of operations for Clean Path too. So he was like, ask him. So I asked him, hey man, can I get a house manager position? And he was like, you need like a year clean for that. I only had 4 months clean, right? And I was like, man. I was like, all right. You know, I was kind of stressed out, walked away. And he was like, you know what? Apply for support staff when you get out of here. I'm like, what the hell support staff? He's like, don't trip, you'd be good at it. So as soon as I got out there on that Friday, like I went and I applied, got the interview, and I started working there like 2 days after that, right?
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. So I started working in that industry, I want to say like August of 2015, like at the basic entry level. Then I just worked my way up and became a lead, then a supervisor, then I moved companies. And
Did you ever become a house manager?
I did. Yeah, I did. And it was just like for necessity. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you have your own place, well, room, and you don't have to pay rent.
Yeah, but you have to deal with all these other clients. Though.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like all the drama of them, like breathalyzing them, giving their meds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fights and stuff. You know what I mean? But so I ended up working my way up to a program director, operations director, and a compliance officer. Right. So I learned the ins and outs of SUD treatment. You know what I mean? And this is before school. Right. This is just like hands-on knowledge and like
your personal experience and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like actual experience, like dealing with crises as they arise. You know what I mean? I had pretty good supervisors that taught me the way. You know what I mean? And so I've worked in the SUD for about 10 years now too.
How long have you been out? 10 years?
I've been out since May 20th, 2015.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What has been the toughest thing for you in these 10 years?
Losing my mom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. My mom died suddenly after getting the COVID booster vaccine. She died like 2 years later. I mean, two days later.
You're kidding.
Yeah, she got
Wow.
it on Sunday and she died on Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah, she got it on Sunday evening and she started feeling really sick on Monday. So her husband called and said, and he said, take her to the hospital. And I talked to my mom, I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't want to die there. I'm like, come on, Mom. Like, you're being a little dramatic. So she slept in the living room on Tuesday night to Wednesday. and she agreed to go, and my stepdad was gonna take her at 1 o'clock when he got off work early, right? So he came home, and found her dead on the couch. Yeah, I remember I was at work in a meeting, and my aunt kept calling me. She was like, "Hey, me," I'm like, I'm working," and she was like, "It's about your mom." So I stepped out, and something just like hit my heart. You know what I mean? And I was like, "What's up?" She's like, "I don't know how to tell you this. Your mom died." And I said, "Shut the fuck up." She was like, "No, your mom died." I said, "Are you fucking serious?" And I said, "How?" And she told me, and I remember just going and telling my bosses, because we had a meeting with the bosses. I said, "Hey, I'm gone. My mom died." And they said, "All right." So went, packed up a little suitcase, picked up my dog, and I went up there. You know what I mean? And I'm
sorry.
that was probably the hardest thing, right? But it kind of showed me like two things, right? Because I was kicking myself in the butt because being a piece of shit son for so long. You know what I mean? Like running amok and always about like self-absorbed, like gimme, gimme, gimme. Like I remember like stealing her needles for her diabetics to go pick up because a Connect would take 2 for like a sack. You know what I mean? And just asking for money when I was locked up, like just being a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like and not being there for her, not being there for her medical appointments. You know what I mean? And I remember just thinking like, man, I wish I would have been a better son. You know, and then like after talking to my sponsor and my recovery family and people that I really mess with, right? They're like, she got what she wanted for all these years. She got her son back for the last 6 years of her life.
And you did good.
You know what I mean? And as soon as I got off paper, right, I went and seen her that weekend, right? Because she moved to Vegas, right? So I would go to Vegas like 5 to 6 times a year to go see her for every holiday, for her birthday, for my birthday. And I'm the only one that get my sisters in one room, right? So like all my sisters don't get along, right? But my sister Cynthia, my little sister, my sister Teresa and Elizabeth, they all have beef, right? So, but like I was able to get them under one roof for at least dinner, right? By the end of the dinner, they'll be at each other's throats, right? But my mom loved it because I get along with all of them, right? They just don't get along with each other. You know what I mean? So be able to do that, and like I was able to be there for mom's services, to like quarterback the services, to get the funds together to be able to get her cremated and to bring her back to Santana and to have the reception afterwards. You know what I mean? To communicate with the family, you know, and my sisters, they were kind of stunned, like they didn't really know what to do. You know what I mean? So like I took the initiative to do all that stuff, you know, but. That's probably the hardest thing besides what I'm going through right now with my dad. You know what I mean? My dad's health is really deteriorating, you know what I mean? But I'm able to be there now.
Yes, you are.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy, right? Because, like, I helped him out to use a bathroom one day, and it's like, when I was a kid, he used to help me use the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like how the tables turn. You know what I mean? And I'm just lucky that I'm able to now, right? And I know that he sleeps good at night now. You know what I mean? Because like the choices that I made today get me in a position where I could be of service to him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And to my mom. You know, and those are two things that probably wear on me the most, right? But they give me the most motivation. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No. You know, I just can't help it. It's always, it's good to hear, you know, and it's good for you to say it as well, you know, because we don't know what anybody else is going through. You know, some people are like, they're still out there and they're so afraid to get it together, and their family needs them so much.
Yeah.
You know, their family needs them so much, and they might not have that opportunity to be there like you were for your mom and get your brothers and your sisters together. You were quedando del chongos todos modos, but they were still able to do it. And, you know, you have those memories, and you probably don't have to kick yourself in the ass. I mean, you probably just did a little bit, but not as hard because you did get it together. You did get it together, and, you know, they're proud of you. You know, your mom's looking down and you're like, yeah, you're doing it. And your father, he has you to lean on right now. Yeah. You know, so be proud of yourself, you know, because we know, you know, that life is not easy at all. Yeah. You know?
And honestly, like, I try not to take any credit of it, right? Because like my higher power made all this possible.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And he's always given me the option to choose right and wrong. I'm just choosing right now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm getting the favor for choosing right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And there's never been an instance in my life where I didn't have an opportunity to choose right, and he's always got me through, whether it's a bill, whether it's employment, whether it's my father, whether it's anything in my life. Like,
Anything.
he's always came through, you know, and I know that, you know what I mean? And so that's the reason why I got clean, right? Like, I didn't get clean because I was tired of using drugs. I didn't get clean because it wasn't fun anymore, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, like, if I could use heroin the rest of my life, I would if there was no consequences to it, right? Just because
That's the part.
just because I like the way it makes me feel, right? There's no other feeling. Like, someone asked me, like, what does it feel like, right? And someone said the closest thing I could describe it is a warm hug and kiss from God, right? Because of the euphoria of it, like the rush, you know what I mean? Like, that's the closest thing you could probably say that it is. You know what I mean? So I got clean because when I was incarcerated those 8 years, I lost both my grandparents on both sides, and an uncle I lived with when I was younger, 2 homeboys, and I wasn't able to grieve any of it because of the position I was in, right? And like, I couldn't act like I was bothered by it. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna understand if I'm crying in my cell. Even
Nobody cares.
When I bought myself, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, like, my grandparents tried to raise me. You know what I mean? And I was a piece of shit grandson. You know what I mean? Like, I was acting out because I was hurt because of what my dad did. You know what I mean? But like, looking back in hindsight, I don't blame my dad for what happened. You know what I mean? Like, there's no handbook on how to raise a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, my mom had mental health issues growing up too. I forgot to mention that, right? Where it was probably difficult for my dad to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember being a kid and my mom hitting me for no reason, and I thought my mom hated me. You know what I mean? It wasn't until she was diagnosed with mental health that we were able to get her the help that she needed and the medication that she needed. You know what I mean? So, like, the last 20 years of her life, she was good because she was on the right medication.
Got it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, so I got clean because I was tired of getting incarcerated. I was tired of being away from my loved ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why that was my motivation, right? So every time, like, I had a thought about using or messing up or going out and getting drunk, right? I picture myself in a cell again. I picture myself not eating for 19 days. I picture myself in a cell wondering if I was ever going to get out. I picture myself full of pepper spray. I picture myself how I felt when I heard my grandma passed away, my grandpa, my grandma, my grandpa. You know what I mean? And being hopeless and helpless. You know what I mean? And it's weird, right? Because like I grind for everything I get, right? So like, I work, I go to school, right? And my sister asked me for money, and I'm able to give it to them now. You know what I mean? And not to say that I'm like giving them lots of hundreds or whatever,
Who cares?
right?
Even if,
But if they
hey,
need,
you're able to
like
get their nails done.
Yeah, if they need $30 or $40 for
Yeah.
gas or whatever, or Uber, you're like, I'll do it. You know what I mean? And before, I was all about gimme, right? And now I'm able to like take my dad to Vegas when I can, because my dad loves going to Vegas because he can like do what he wants. You know what I mean? And I get him a little scooter, and he's out there running around, going to all the machines. You know what I mean? And it's just I'm present now. You know what I'm saying? And like I said earlier when we were talking, I got clean, and then one of my homeboys followed suit and got clean. Like, I want to say like almost a year after. You know, and this is my ace dude, my road dog. Like, we've done dirt together. Like, we've been through some stuff together. Like, he almost lost his life in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? And I was there for him. You know, and he seen me get clean, and he asked me like, "How'd you do it?" You know, and he went through a similar process, went through the same program I went through, right? And then another homie of ours has like 2 years clean, right? That he's seen both of us like living, and we're not like balling, you know what I mean?
No, but they see the difference.
But we, and honestly, like, if nothing else, like, the best thing about being clean is peace of mind, right? Like, I don't have the worries of having to pick up or having to do. I mean, life happens. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can get shot walking out of your house or get in a car accident,
Ay,
right?
Juan de Dios, but
yeah,
yes.
yeah. But I'm just saying, like I don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to put myself in a position where I'm a get robbed for my shit or get smoked because of this or whatever. Like, I go to any liquor store, any food place that I want. You know what I mean? And I don't think I'm all that, right? But like, I have a different life now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have different values and different morals and I have a different way of thinking. You know what I mean? But all that stemmed from and everything that I went through in my life made me the man I am today.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And like I literally, like I said, when I got out, I literally had a half a bag of chonies. You know what I mean? And a toothbrush with no cover and one chancla. You know what I mean? And I don't got much, but I got me a new car. I got me a studio apartment. I pay all my bills on time. You know what I mean?
You wake up to a peaceful.
Yeah.
You do your own program.
Yeah.
You wake up. What is it? Something that you still do that you used to do in there?
Get up, drink my coffee, and meditate. Right? Like before, like I didn't know it was meditation, right? But I'll get up like early as hell, and I would like just like talk to God.
That's my routine.
You know what I
Like
mean?
if I can't do anything, like I get up, drink my coffee, read my scripture of the day.
Yeah.
And if I can't do that, my day's off.
Yeah, 100%.
Like
Yeah.
I just my
Yeah.
elf until I've, even if it's like me standing, like I have to get the baby ready to go to school or whatever. Even if I have to put like the computer to like the scripture of the day, I'll do it. Like it's just, but I need to have my little normal routine so that I could feel better.
Yeah.
You know, like we need a program still.
Yeah, and that's probably like one of the biggest things in early recovery is to have like a program, you know what I mean, and have a set schedule of things you do, like a routine.
I'm a
right?
routine girl.
Yeah, me too. Like my routine is in the morning now that I have my little dog. Right, I get up, make my coffee, smoke my cigarette, go on the back patio, morning meditation, go use the bathroom, go take a little man to use the bathroom, come back, shave, get ready for work. You know what I mean? And he knows, like, as soon as I get out of the bathroom, like, he jumps up, like,
What kind of dog you have?
a little Chiweenie. Yeah. People trip out because I have a
He's like a little Chihuahua one.
yeah, it's a Chiweenie. It's a Chihuahua Dachshund.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and people trip out because I have a stroller for him, too. I don't give a fuck. Yeah.
Fool.
Yeah. When I go to Vegas, right, or take him anywhere, like, it's better for me because he's not out there barking at anybody or peeing at anybody or trying to fight
Says
anybody.
he has a little
People trip
stroller.
out, right? Because they're like, "You have a baby there?" I said, "Nah, it's my baby." You know
That's
what I
your
mean?
dog, that's right.
And they're thinking like I'll be carrying a pit bull or something, you know, and or like a Rottweiler or something. My little Chihuahua, he's
That's your dog.
yeah, and you know what his nickname is?
What?
Little Man. Yeah, and because I got him from the rescue, right? And his name was I forgot, some weird white boy
Different name.
Yeah, it was something like I forgot. Anyway, so I couldn't call him that, right? I'm like, I can't call him that. You know what I mean? So when I brought him home, I'm in the back patio and I'm smoking a cigarette and he's looking straight ahead and I'm like, I'm trying to think of like his like Raza names for him, like Shadow, Darky, Blackie. You know what I mean? He's not even looking at me. And I'm like, he's kind of like my son. So I'm like, hey, little man. He looks at me. Come here, little man. And he came.
Oh, so
yes.
like, yeah.
So he responds to little man. You know what I mean? And he's really behaved. He's a cool dog, man. Yeah.
That's your dog.
Yeah. Yeah, he's my road dog for sure.
In the stroller.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Before we go, is there anything else that you want to share that you haven't shared?
That I created the Fools Get Clean platform for anybody struggling with addiction or the stuck in the vicious cycle of going in and out of prison or the street life or anything to do with risky behavior, man, because there's a better life out there. You know what I mean? And I'm living proof, you know, that you don't have to live that life anymore and that it's not going to be easy sometimes. Life still happens, right? Like I lost my mom. My dad's not doing well. I lost a job. I lost a fiance. You know what I mean? And as long as you don't pick up and keep pushing forward, everything will work out. You
That's
know what
right.
I mean? And just know that there's people out there that help, that give a crap about you. You know what I mean? Because I remember when I got clean, I didn't see anybody like me. You know what I mean? That was helping people out or telling me that you could do it. You know what I mean? But there's a meeting that I go to at Satana Lano Club where it's like a prison yard. You know what I mean? But there's like so many people with so many years that they have a message to give. You know what I mean? And I just want to let everyone know that everyone has a comeback story. You know, it's just up to you what you want it to be. You know, and remember, fools get clean too.
That's right. Look at us. We're fools.
Yeah.
And we're clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, Gabriel.
Thank you for
How
having
you
me.
feel?
A little less nervous.
You don't look nervous anymore. But you were nervous in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're not nervous anymore.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you feel okay. Anything else?
Follow me on TikTok, Fools Get Clean 2, Instagram, Fools Get Clean 2, and YouTube.
Because we're going to collab as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube, Fools Get Clean 2 also.
Well, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok.